it's going to rain. I do not know if it's going to rain or not, but I was just anticipating.
No, it's good. It's good to clarify. Otherwise, last minute we don't want
because
to.
there will be lots of teams and then. Okay, sorry.
Okay. All right, Abhi, we are online.
Looks like we went online in the midst of a nice engaging discussion amongst the panelists. So good evening, one and all. Welcome to this week's edition of DCL PrimeTime. We are getting towards the business end of the tournament and things are starting to look interesting. Who is going to get in? Who is going to be left out? We will find all that and more in conjunction with my fellow analysts, Parthiv Mehta, Vijay Zakaria, and Satya Velayudham, of course. Before I hand off to Parthiv for the analysis of the previous week's games, I believe my fellow analyst Viju would like to start off this week's show with a discourse or a clarification on the fielder obstruction rules, I believe. Is that what you wanted to touch on, Viju?
Yes, Avi. Actually, you were the one who asked the question, and it was a very pertinent question, I thought. And at that point, I said I was not sure because in effect, you asked me, hey, Viju, if you said that if you were the umpire, you would have sent Ravi Rachan Samidala and Golden Rithini were involved in a run where Golden Rithini was saying something. All right, we are going to get into that because you all, both you and Parthiv, got plenty of feedback from different people, and I have done my own homework and I've checked even with the umpire. So, but I thought before we even get into that, let's just go over the rule because what you asked is a very pertinent question. So in DCL, the rule book is just a few pages. It doesn't go into extensive this thing. So where we differ from ICC rules, we have clearly clarified it. Let's give an example. For example, you have the batting crease, and if a bowler bowls, and if the ball pitches twice, which our own friend Parthiv Mehta, who's a fellow analyst, did not know this rule, but the DCL rule book is very clear. If it bounces twice before the batting crease, in DCL, the DCL rule book is very clear that it's a dead ball. But if you go and read the ICC rules, which Parthiv is very well aware of, he knows that there it is called a no ball. Am I right, Parthiv?
That's correct. Yep.
All right. So clearly in those two instances, the DCL rule book is different from the ICC rule. So the understanding is when the DCL rule book is different from the ICC rule, the DCL rule book clarifies that point clearly. Now, when the DCL rule book is silent on a matter, then it automatically follows that you follow the ICC rule. All right. So having said that, let's come back to this obstruction point because that was the question. The question you asked was a point blank question, which was, hey, Viju, do you have the authority to send that the person who obstructed, well, in this case, he obstructed, but he was obstructing it on behalf of his partner. So in this case, Ravi Rachan was the one who hit the shot and it was his catch which was dropped. Now, I felt that if I was the umpire, I would have sent him off the field saying that, you know what, you have obstructed. Now, let's go and take a look at the ICC rules because you know what? Let's not argue pointlessly. If there is a rule very clearly written, let's make this very clear for everybody and so that everybody understands this. Now, if the DCL committee wants to go and say that, oh, you know what, this is not practical, maybe we want to change this rule, they are most welcome to change this rule. Probably not this season, but probably before the beginning of next season. So I have taken the ICC laws and I've sent it to Satya and I'm going to ask Satya to look at that relevant point with regards to obstruction.
Okay. Oh, so the question was, when you said that if you had been the umpire, you would have sent the batsman packing nevertheless. Oh, and I had asked you whether you actually have the authority to
I have the right. Okay. And so what I'm going to show you from the ICC rule book is that I absolutely have the authority to do that. Okay. And obviously I am judged on the rule book. I'm asked to follow the rule book. And so when I go for umpiring a game, I'm said follow the rule book. Well, if the rule book is silent, then the understanding is follow the ICC rule. So let's look at this. Out obstructing the field. and I've highlighted this in yellow. Either batsman is out obstructing the field, if, except in the circumstances of 37-2, all right, we'll get to 37-2. While the ball is in play, he or she willfully attempts to obstruct or distract the fielder by, what is that? Word or action. In other words, action is what we generally act upon, where you kick the ball away from a person who's going to field the ball because you think that you might get run out, so you kick it. Or somebody is going to give a catch and you take the bat and back it before he can even attempt the catch. That is action. But in this case, it was word, you see. So that's why I've highlighted word or action. Keep going down, Satya. And not out obstructing the field is, again, the point there is, it is with regards to a totally different matter altogether. But 37-3, if the delivery is not a no ball, in this case, it was not a no ball, the striker is out obstructing the field. If willful obstruction or distraction.
I think the formatting is all over the place, but yeah, but you
are. I think the problem is that Satya expanded his screen, and I think this document got changed. But when the original document which I sent to him was perfectly clean, but I don't know when he adjusted the screen. Well, anyway, you get the point. Willful obstruction or distraction by the batsman prevents the striker from getting caught. That's exactly what happened in this game. The striker hit the ball. The ball was in the air. There was an obstruction. Now the question which needs to coming back to the game, because now I want to just digress a little bit, because you sent me a series of texts, and Parthiv got a call from Venkat Kola saying that, hey, that is the batsman Swarnamritini did not say chode de. Okay. Now you also got from somebody else, which you forwarded the text to me, saying that, hey, Viju, he's not that kind of a player. He was certainly not saying chode de, but rather he was saying choda dek. Now, they sounds very similar, all right? But when I listened to it, or let's put it this way, the video was sent to me by an interested party, and they told me that it was chode de. All right, let's assume that I had that slight bias because I am already, it has been told to me that it is chode de. When I went and listened to it, I heard chode de. All right. Okay. Now, after you came up with this thing, I noticed that Jagan was the leg umpire, and because at the end of the over, I see Jagan walking up to the main umpire to become the main umpire for the next over. So I called Jagan. And after all, Jagan is a well-known umpire and is a DCL committee member. I asked him, what did he hear? And he told me he heard chode de. All right. I went and took this and put this on the big screen television and tried to amplify it. Honestly, Avi, I can say that I do not know whether it was chode de or choda dek. They both are very, very similar. But let us give you have in cricket, giving the benefit of doubt to the batsman. So in this case, let's assume that these guys are right and it is choda dek. If it is choda dek, Avi, I have never been afraid to take back a criticism which I have leveled. And I will be honest with you, and I'll say this publicly. Well, I am sorry. I apologize unconditionally if it is choda dek, because if it is choda dek, I'm not sending the batsman off and I'm not giving the batsman out. But if you look at the video, he's clearly looking at the fielder and he's saying whatever he is, whether it is chode de or whether it is choda dek. I am not willing to put my life on the line for that. You get my point? Because I do not know. I really do not know. They sound very similar. And now you have put a little bit of doubt in my mind whether it is chode de or choda dek. If it is choda dek, you have my unconditional apology. If it is chode de, I stand by everything which I have said before, which is that I would have packed the batsman off. And there is no two things about it, because I am strictly following the ICC rules, because the DCL rule book is silent. Right. And I'm asked to uphold the rules, so I go with the rules. It's as simple as that. There is no partiality towards anybody. It's just that I have to call it as I see it. And the same thing as analysts, we call it as we see it. And we have the integrity, if we are wrong, to come out and admit that, hey, I was wrong, and please accept my apology. But I don't believe I threw Swarna under the bus. All I said is, hey, when he went and argued with Saikir and Tota saying that, hey, brother, I can say it, I am going with the assumption that he said chod de. And my point is, if you're saying chod de, and if you're saying, hey, I can say it, then my answer is no, you cannot say it. That is unethical, and it is not right, and it's not in the spirit of the game. As being an MVP candidate, you should conduct yourself in a manner which is befitting the league. After all, you are a very good player, so conduct yourself in that same manner. But if he said choda dek, then this comes back to this point which you raised. Hey, chod de is okay, but choda de or whatever else. Last time you used a phrase. I forgot what that exact phrase was. Chod dega is chod dega is okay, and chod de is not okay. Yeah, I understand that it is splitting atoms, but at the same time, as an umpire, I'm asked to follow the rule book. So if you say chod de, I'm going by what I heard. It's as simple as that. Anyway, the umpire Jagan confirmed to me. I made a special call to Jagan, confirmed to me that he said he heard chod de. Okay. Now it is very much possible that just like you and me, he also might not have heard choda dek, and he heard it as chod de. But if that is the case, I think why we wanted to get this out is many people do not realize that word doesn't constitute. They think that word doesn't constitute obstruction. But clearly, if you go by the ICC rules, word is obstruction. That's all we wanted to bring out. And now we can start with the regular show.
To be honest, it's the. I would think you could distinguish between choda dek and chod de in real time. Yes, stuff can happen, of course, in the heat of competition, and in the heat of the moment, it's difficult sometimes to gauge it. To be honest, I have said that myself at times when the ball's up in the air and the batsman's busy watching the ball or the fielder, and I'd be like, and I'd mostly say it either in English or because of the teams I play in, most likely in Tamil. But so maybe the fielder doesn't get distracted. But again, I would say he's not going to catch that. Come on, don't look at him, run. But
yes,
but again,
right. But you're addressing addressing your fellow batsman.
Right, and I'm explicitly talking to him, not even obliquely to the fielder.
Yeah.
So
I have done that too, where I have asked my fellow fielder to continue running. Don't just stand in the middle of the pitch. Keep running. It's as simple as that. But yeah, I mean. And anyway, we just wanted to bring this out. Yeah, that's all.
Absolutely. And the only other question I have as a follow-up, only because I know for a fact, especially if this happens in a playoff game, even in the few years that obviously I haven't played for as long as some of you others have, but even in that tenure, I have seen people come up with some really ingenious or disingenuous, whichever way you want to look at it, excuses or reasons for anything that might happen. So just to ask it, again, point blank, you did say that if a certain rule is not illustrated in the DCL rule book, then we revert to the ICC or the MCC laws of the game. So is that mentioned somewhere explicitly?
No.
I can even imagine. I can even imagine a few faces angrily asking, "Who said you have to follow the MCC laws?" Well, I don't know what else you will follow, but I can be certain some people will ask that question. So that's why I'm asking.
Right, and I think yes, I mean that makes sense that you follow ICC rules. But to be honest, I think people go by the rule book, DCL rule book. If it's not in the DCL rule book, it's not a rule.
Oh,
that's how most people take it, right? It doesn't matter if it's an ICC rule or not. So I think that's, and to be honest, I think this is something which is, we can bring it up in our discussion, but
so
I don't think right now it's a rule.
So let me ask you this question. Ball is going towards the bats, towards your wicket. You played the ball and you use the bat holding hand and you hold the ball from hitting the wicket. All right. Isn't that obstruction?
That is obstruction, yes. But whether
it is not. Yes, it is intentional. It is going towards the wicket. I know it's going to dislodge the bails. I take my other hand and hold the ball.
Yeah, but that again is on the discretion of the umpire at that time whether he
But
feels like it's
okay, but which rule is he taking? There is, if you go by the DCL rule book, it's not mentioned in the DCL rule book.
Oh, handling the ball is not mentioned?
the obstruction.
Well,
I guess.
yeah, that particular scenario which I just mentioned to you is not mentioned in the DCL rule book.
Okay.
Okay, so now what happens?
I remember there was a game, if my memory serves right, there was a Megabytes GLCC game where there was a last run and somebody obstructed the field, somebody kicked the ball.
Yes, that it was Megabytes versus GLCC.
Right, and
our good friend Vijay Shanmugam and the Pokeri skipper, our friends skipper Ravi Narala were the umpires for that game.
Right. Even in that game, I think it wasn't clear that it was intentionally or not intentionally. And I remember either the game was replayed or
no, the game was not replayed. The GLCC folks claim it was absolute obstruction, willful obstruction. It was a deliberate kicking action. The Megabytes claim, hey, the batsman is running. It was part of this thing. There was no deliberate attempt to kick. Well, the umpires then ruled basically that they ruled in Megabytes' favor. So Megabytes refused to replay the game, come what may, and they claimed the win on that game.
Okay.
So
yeah, but this is a thing which we can probably bring it up in our next week where we don't have any games like the September 4th weekend. Some of these things are interesting discussion.
But the understanding always was that, hey, if something is not explicitly mentioned, then you follow the ICC rules, because otherwise it opens a new set of can of worms on almost anything and everything, you see. You know, hey, can I wear gloves and field? Well, the DCL rule book doesn't say anything about it. But the ICC rules very clearly mention about it. So we then say, oh, we follow the ICC. You can't selectively pick and choose which ICC rules I'm going to follow and which ICC rules I'm not going to follow. That is why you have the DCL rule book, wherein we are saying that, you know what, these are the rules where we are modified it for playing on a baseball diamond, understanding the pitch circumstances and all these things. We have made some changes so that it leads to a more conducive game. But anyway, we wanted to educate the public. We wanted to educate everybody out. If somebody wants to go and change it, by all means, go and change it. But when I go as an umpire, I should know on what rule am I judging. If if the DCL rule book is not clear, then please clarify this so that add this rule saying that, hey, you can distract the fielder as much as you want. I have no issues with that. But then you have made it very clear.
On that count, I thought to a point you just made a few moments ago, I thought kicking the ball away was actually legit. I didn't think that was out handling the ball. I have seen international
No. This is kicking the ball when the ball is going towards a fielder. We are talking two separate. Yes. Okay. All right. I'm playing the shot, and let's say that the player at shot mid off is charging towards the ball. And I am running towards the non-striker end. I realize that he's going to get that ball and probably throw it to the striker's end, and my partner is going to be out. So what I do is I suddenly become Lionel Messi, and I give a nice deflection. All right. The next thing
ridiculous. That would be ridiculous.
So that's what we are talking. We are not talking about I am playing and the ball is rolling onto the wicket and I use my leg to kick it. That's totally different.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yep. All right. Perfect. Yeah. Well, that was a good kickstart. I think some of these discussions are actually what make the show even more interesting, right? This is the right forum to debate all these. And to anyone that's listening, or will potentially listen to the recording of the show, please feel free to send in your comments in the comments underneath the YouTube video. We'd always be happy to take a look at it and revert back to you as well. That way we keep you guys engaged as well. But moving on. Analysis of the previous week's games, as always, by Parthiv in conjunction with Viju, and hopefully me and Satya chipping in as and when it's required.
Yeah, so I think the one game currently going on is the FCC UCA. So we'll touch upon that a little later as it unfolds. But I think we'll probably start off with. Am I hearing? Okay, we'll start off with MI Rangers and Punjab Warriors. So this game I think was crucial for MI Rangers they had to get this win. I think with the points table kind of heating up, MI Rangers, MCC Miles are kind of very close in to get that fourth and the fifth spot. So this game was very crucial for MI Rangers, and they brought their A team. They got Abhilash, they got Ifti. They basically made all the difference in terms of batting and bowling. When winning the toss and putting a score of 115 under lights, especially. And I was umpiring the game next door. Part of my penalties to kind of get my umpiring done. So I was able to see, some of part of the game which was going on, and I especially felt I think the Punjab Warriors probably lost it in the end when Anush, came in and he really put the accelerator on. About the time before Anush, I think things were normal. I mean, they were probably getting to a 90, 95 plus score, but those 32 runs in quick 21 balls, I think made that additional 20, 30 runs, which is the difference here. From the bowling side, there wasn't too much control from the from the Punjab Warriors. They kept leaking runs, although the extras are relatively small, so much disciplined effort. But they weren't able to kind of stop the leak of runs. I was seeing MI Rangers scoring freely. They were regular hits to the boundaries, and it was on field one, so they have longer boundaries compared to some of the other grounds. But so MI Rangers were able to kind of run quickly and get a lot of runs by running between the wickets. And towards the batting side, it was all Abhilash. I was watching him. He basically spun a web on Punjab Warriors. His 4 wickets, and the way he tied the batsmen down, especially at the start, the top order. It was very difficult from there for Punjab Warriors to recover. Towards the end, even though the score looks impressive, 88, it was because MI Rangers had basically at that point of time won the game. The equation was too big for Punjab Warriors to even cross that. So they tried a couple of options in terms of bowling, but in the end, this game, I definitely feel Abhilash made all the difference. So MI Rangers, I feel this after this game kind of almost confirmed their playoff spot, if not for certain, but at least I think they are probably 95% there.
Avi and Parthiv, Ernest Shackleton once said, superhuman effort isn't worth a damn unless it achieves results. I want you to take you back to a gentleman by the name of Al Orter, and I want to look at the stats because he was the Olympic gold medalist in discus, and he was an American. In 1956, as a 20-year-old, he won the gold medal. He threw for 56.64 meters. In 1960, guess what? He won the gold medal again, but this time he raised it from 56.64 to 59.18 meters. In 1964, he won the gold medal again. And this time he again upped the quotient, and this time he threw 61 meters. And then in 1968, he again won the gold medal, and this time he threw it for 64.78 meters. In other words, in 4 successive Olympics, he improved upon his own record each and every time he went out, and he got 4 gold medals in 4 separate Olympics. That is over like a 16-year span, you see. Now, if you ask me, Avi, the reason I brought that up was Anush Kumar. He was, if you ask me, Orteresque, and Satya did bring up Al Orter's abilities. Just like we say Nawala is Bahubali-esque, I think we have to say Anush Kumar was Orteresque, because I'm going to tie 2 games here. Because while we are discussing this is the game against Punjab Warriors, this was the second game. The first game was against the Miles. Guess what? Against the Miles game also, he did the exact same thing. He scored 30 runs in 13 balls with 3 sixes. And that sunk the Miles, because the Rangers raced from 91 for 5 in 22 overs to 114 for 5 in 23.2 overs. That was the effort of the sixes. Against Punjab Warriors, he comes and does one better. He scores 32 runs and in 21 balls with 2 sixes. Once again, this one again was the nail in the coffin for Punjab Warriors. All I can say is, in both games, Anush Kumar is rightfully been awarded by MI Rangers skipper as the man of the match. And there is nobody else who deserves the man of the match other than Anush Kumar. And what do we do in color? We do in color is we highlight certain performances. Parthiv covers the game and I highlight on certain performances which catch the eye. According to me, in college basketball, if somebody has an outstanding game, when let's say Michigan plays Michigan State, the guy who had the outstanding game becomes the big man on campus. If you ask me, Anush Kumar was the big man in DCL this weekend. In fact, you could say he was the Superman of DCL in this particular week, because 2 back-to-back days, Anush Kumar carried the MI Rangers on his back and he improved upon his performance, and he had a fabulous 2 days. Probably some of the best games he has played in 2 consecutive days. So we tip our cap to Anush Kumar. Congrats, Anush Kumar. Congrats to Michigan Rangers. And as Parthiv said, they are in the driver's seat to take that 5th spot in Pool C, because you had Miles were looking very good, but here is the problem for Miles. Miles have played 9 games, if I'm not mistaken. Rangers have played 9 games, but Rangers have a very easy opponent right next. They play Micah. Unfortunately for Miles, guess what? They have to go against Glads in September 11th. So I would think that any day playing Micah would probably be easier to beat than beating Glads. I mean, again, cricket is a game and anything can happen on any given day. Maybe Miles come and surprise and shock all of us and win big, but then more power to them. But even then, they still trail. If Rangers take care of business, there is nothing much you can do. But the important thing is that they might be able to get in as the 6th team if they add a bunch of points. So that's pretty much it. At this point, Rangers have 27 points. Miles have 26 points. Both have played 9 games. But if you ask me, Rangers control their own destiny, because all they have to do is go and win 5 points against Micah and they are done. And GLCC is very interesting. They are right now sitting at 25 points. And if you ask me, that 25 points, they have 2 games, one against Punjab Warriors, and then they have a game against is this correct? Yeah, is this correct? I don't think. Okay, all right. I know why the Rangers have gone to 25 points, because Rangers are playing Canton 11, because earlier Rangers and Canton 11 was tied, and that is why Rangers was at 27. So they still have 2 games. So they still have an opportunity actually to even overall pokeries if pokeries somehow slip up in the last couple of games. I don't see that happening, but they have a good chance to go and grab probably the 4th spot if GLCC stumbles. So the way GLCC has been playing, anything is possible.
All right. The next game is, I think, the game in the same group. We talked about MI Rangers in the same vein. I think MCC Miles. This is a game which obviously everyone expected them to win, and they won. AR Phantoms are the bottom of the basement, so they're not really going to challenge much. And they didn't challenge MCC Miles really. I was umpiring this game. MCC Miles, I think there was contributions all throughout the batting lineup, starting from Brahma to Venkat, down Karthik, and then Rahul Chenna, I think, provided the icing on the cake with his big hitting in the last 3 overs. They had the power play. They took full advantage of that. The 120 obviously was going to be way above AR Phantoms. They did a fair good job. I think they started badly, but towards the end, I think the last 2 wickets kind of held up what was the inevitable. And MCC Miles just basically took their time in order to get things finished up. Them playing 21.2 overs was probably more than even what AR Phantoms would have thought about. But overall, I think MCC Miles, got those 5 points, which they absolutely must have penciled down at the start of the season, and they move on. I think they are still in contention, like MI Rangers, for that 4th and 5th spot in Pool C. So it makes it really interesting going into into the next week.
Avi, I want to say that, well, just now I said that Anush was Superman and the big man on campus this past week. And you have heard this statement, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. If you have a big, there is a small. If you have a North Pole, there is a South Pole. If you have the sun rising in the east, then it sets in the west. A left has a right, an up has a down, a success has a failure, a yin has a yang, a love has a hate, a night has a day, the rich has a poor, a super hit movie has a super flop of a movie. And just like Anush was Superman, Sanjay was the exact opposite. He was Super Zero. He was Mr. Super Zero. He played 2 games this weekend, and guess what? In both games, he failed to tickle the scorer to even bother anything. He managed to get a mighty 0 in both games. So he was Super Zero in this game. And you know that favorite saying which says that the bread which is buttered always falls when it falls on the ground. It always falls on the buttered side. So everything which can go wrong for Sanjay Ilangowan went wrong for Sanjay Ilangowan. So Avi, let me ask you this question, and you're going to like this. Why do you think Sanjay Ilangowan flopped so badly? Tell me why Sanjay Ilangowan this week of all weeks? Avi and Partha, please answer me. Why do you think Sanjay Ilangowan flopped this week? In 2 consecutive games, he failed to even add 1 run to the total. And here is Partha saying, Sanjay Ilangowan, Sanjay Ilangowan, Sanjay Ilangowan. I am riding on Sanjay Ilangowan to MCC Miles win. Why do you think Sanjay Ilangowan failed?
Distracted by off-field events, I suppose.
All right.
It has been a big year for him, so on the personal front, so I wouldn't blame him.
Avi, let me put it this way. Sanjay Ilangowan went on the wrong show, baby. Last week he went on the Jagan Bhatta show. He went on the wrong show, baby. That was Sanjay Ilangowan. That is the only thing Sanjay Ilangowan did wrong. All right. He went on the wrong show. Okay. Now I'm kidding, but anyway, you have these kind of situations where nothing goes right, and as I said, the bread falls on the buttered side. But yeah, what can I say? I pass on further comments, but yeah, Miles were supposed to beat AR Phantoms, and they don't need Sanjay Ilangowan to beat AR Phantoms, but they needed Sanjay Ilangowan to beat MI Rangers, and that is what our friend Partha was counting on, because he picked. All of us picked Rangers, and Partha was the only guy who picked MCC Miles, and that allowed us to catch one more in that ever interesting race. You see, he had extended it to 6 points. I think now it has come back to 5.
Right.
I'm good.
Cool. Next up, Raptors versus Patriots. I have a feeling we don't really have to spend too much time on this one. Yeah. Although I am a bit shocked by the way the Patriots are lurching a bit in this season.
Yeah, I did, and also I think I want to highlight, when Pradeep Butta came to the show last week or the week before, he had mentioned that Raptors is a bowling side, and to be honest, I think this is the first game that I'm actually seeing Raptors bowling kind of outplay their batting. I mean, yes, they scored 130, which is quite a score. But that's expected out of Raptors. They basically, the way they have been performing, their top order with Amar, our Bahubali, our Kiran, Hemant, and Pradeep, all of them kind of contributing. They've always been kind of providing those starts and ending up in that 120, 130 range. But what was so refreshing was their bowling. They wrapped up Patriots, and Patriots is no easy walkover. Under 40, which was quite, and the destruction was all the top order. It was the first, I think, 7 to 8 overs.
Yeah, if we could go to the Patriots batting, please. I believe that's what you're alluding to, right?
Yeah, the first 7 to 8 overs, they basically just killed Patriots. If you see, they were 6 for 22 by the end of the 7th over. end of the, towards the 8th over. Yes. So, and Kiran and Ajit, I think they wrecked. And then, we don't talk about Ashok too much. He's one of, he's a good off spin bowler.
Yeah, look at those figures. My goodness. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and I've seen him perform time after time. I think he's come from FCC, the FCC fraternity, over to Raptors, and he's provided that variation, which I think is very important in every side. You need that spin option, or that slower option, which I think he provides very, very adequately. So I've seen that happen in Raptors bowling lineup, where he's always like, either he's very economical or he's picking up wickets. Even in that game, which shifted, I think it was whether that was a tight game.
I think it was I think it was Troy Hawks versus Raptors. I think that's where he went and took a couple of wickets.
Yeah, and I think his over was the decisive one. So I want to give a shout out to him. I don't think we've talked enough about him, but really great bowling figures. You had 4 overs, 1 made and 5 runs and 4 wickets. Really bundling out Patriots completely. So this makes Raptors, still on. I think they're at the top right now with Indus Thunders.
Yeah.
They got back on top now again. So this was a game which I think was important for Raptors to get back up, because we were all thinking whether this would be a close game or not. So,
right.
Yeah, Avi and Parthiv, I happened to watch this game live because someone sent me a live link of this game. And now I do not know how to get all these live links, but people generously keep sending me these live links. So because I was sent a live link to this game, I watched this game.
The someones that are obviously a very rich resource. They're good resources to have.
Yes. So I was watching this game, and so here's something interesting happening. I see a big guy standing in slip, and I couldn't make out his jersey. All right, so all I could figure out is his name. The jersey seemed to start with N. So I'm thinking this must be Amarendra Nuwala, because Amarendra Nuwala is a tall guy. So he looked up about the same height, and I'm thinking, man, this Amarendra Nuwala has lost a lot of weight. Maybe that's why the man is, thrashing all the bowlers left, right, and center. So I assume that is Amarendra Nuwala standing at slip, and that would seem like a logical position for Amar to stand. But then I remember last week I quoted Shakespeare and said, of what meat doth this Amarendra Nuwala eat that he has become so great? And come break time, I find that the Raptors gather around a huddle, and sure enough, there is another big guy who comes wearing number 7, and it says Amar clearly on it. And I can see that guy is definitely the Amarendra Nuwala I know of. Parthiv, I can tell you, our friend Amarendra Nuwala is eating a lot of meat, baby. He's eating a lot of meat. All I know is he's eating a lot of meat. But meat or no meat, he is in the form of his life. He is hammering the balls left, right, and center, all right? I don't care what the weight is, but this guy is having bowlers for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I can find no fault with his game. And so every now and then he's having a super snack as well, all right? So what can we find fault with a guy who is leading in strike rate? He's leading in runs. He's eating 6s upon 6s. It is all good, baby, from my end. Once again, he had a fabulous game. But again, as Parthiv said, Mr. Bhavanam also had a pretty good game. I do not know, but I watched this game and I walked away very impressed with the Raptors unit. In fact, I'm happy that I did not see this game before Raptors took on Indus Thunders, because if I had seen this game before I saw the Indus Thunders versus Raptors game, I probably would have picked Raptors to win that game. So I'm quite happy that, I did not see this game, because I think it would have clouded my judgment, because I was really impressed with what the Raptors put out. And yes, whatever Pradeep Bhotta said on the show that his bowling unit is pretty good, I think it looked to me at least pretty good. So if it is bad, then I really do not know what is good then. Over to you.
Yeah, the next game was, I think we can probably wrap it up really quickly. Micah versus Gladiators. I think the only solace here was Micah winning the toss and electing to bat. That was the only thing I think which saved them from getting thrashed like other teams have been. A very, very, very clinical effort. I mean, Gladiators have been sweeping teams after teams and, basically decimating them. In this case, also, you see a lot of experimentation, even though like there were 7 or 8 bowlers which Satya used. Pretty much everybody got wickets. Typhoon and Satya himself amongst the wickets, sharing 7 wickets between them. And Micah never really had a chance. 74 was way, way, way underscore for the Glad batting unit. And, Glad's basically made sure, they finish it. And again, my pick for the MVP or the best batting, thank you for sending Hardeep Singh to opening. He got another 30 runs. And
our pick, Parthiv, our pick.
Oh, your pick as well. Yes. So that continues to consolidate our pick and continues to he continues to have a fabulous season.
Quite a disappointing performance, though, right? He didn't even score 50% of the runs. That's the standard at which we are debating his performances now. Viju, you're on mute.
Avi, Vijay Kamam did ask this question: is Hardeep Singh going to open? And we I kind of tipped our hand a little bit and said that, hey, he's in the running for the best batsman award. And, the skipper probably should do something, but it is the skipper's call. Sure enough, I think the skipper made the right decision, especially since we were chasing. Because if we were batting first again, he probably had a few more options to send somebody else opening because you are going to bat 25 overs. But given there is only 70 runs on the board, I think the right decision was taken to give Hardeep the best chance to at least score some runs and make it more competitive. I think Ronak Q. Patel had another very good game. He was unbeaten. Taif, if you ask me, absolutely sizzled with the ball. Once again, reaffirming to anybody and everybody who is watching the games in DCL, why Taifur Rahman is a critical component of the Glads unit. The skipper himself had a very good outing. And then I think if for Micah, the only guy who had a real good, the sole bright spot was a guy named Rajesh. If I'm not mistaken, he's probably the skipper for Micah, but he had a pretty good game. So at least with the bat. So yeah. And I think with the ball also, he was pretty decent. So, but yeah, again, I think no surprises here. Last week itself, I told you that we were struggling to find players. We had only 6 players, and finally we got 8 or 9. We borrowed 2 players whom I have never seen in my life. We put them in and just manufactured a win, I would say. But we are glad that it was Micah this week.
Yeah, just FYI, the batting, the best batsman standing is heating up. It's only 10 runs between the top three, between Amar, Hardeep, and who's that? Saran Raj. It's really heating up.
Wow, that is indeed a close race. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maulik Patel, if he gets a couple of good innings there, he could be in the mix as well. But,
yeah, I mean, if he scores a 50 or something, yeah, he definitely is in the racing.
Right. Maulik Patel has eyes on a century this weekend, my friend. Maulik Patel has eyes on a century. He also knows playing? What is. Huh? Who are they playing?
Maulik Patel is KRCC.
Oh, they are playing KRCC.
Yeah, KRCC was
KRCC is legends. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Ah, okay.
Yes. Yeah, Maulik Patel has his eyes on a century. Let me tell you that.
All right. Well,
insider news. Take it for what it's worth.
Sure, it'll certainly be interesting to see if he lives up to his word. But first up, looks like Dynamites did not live up to, at least my words, of having the chance to beat Troy Hawks. Troy Hawks seemingly won there quite convincingly against.
Yeah, I mean, I think up till the halfway stage, I think it was looking like Dynamites had things under control. from a runs perspective. I don't think they took wickets, and I think that's where it hurt them a lot. They were kind of economical in
Agreed.
terms of
It
the
did
board.
look like Troy Hawks were a bit behind the curve till up to
Yeah,
about what, the 20th over, in fact.
right.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah. So they were like Troy Hawks were, and I was since I had picked Dynamites, I was basically happy to see the runs per over, the getting to that pressure until 20 overs.
right. Yeah, I was right with you. I picked them too.
And then there was one over. I think if you look at the over by over score, I think it was the 23rd over that basically shifted.
And
23rd and 24th over. They just basically took the cleaners. Suresh normally is a very trusted, very experienced bowler from Dynamites, and I'm guessing
wow.
that's the reason why Vijay must have opted for him to kind of deliver the penultimate over. And I've never seen him go for so many runs in that one over. It's difficult to get the boundary, but the Troy Hawks really took to him. The 23rd and 24th over were clinical. Up to then, I think there was probably one over in between, which was 15. But if you look at the runs per over, Dynamites were controlling the required run rate really well.
Right.
So I think again, this basically underlines the importance of keeping wickets intact. And anything can happen in the last 3 overs. I'm pretty sure they must have opted for that power play and then really accelerated from there. So from here, Dynamites, although they have had a great season, they've been competing well. They do get the bonus points, which is going to be very vital in that Pool A equation, especially because FCC is also heating up. But in this case, I think from the Dynamites, good performances from Arun, Avinash, and from the Troy Hawks. I think the big partnership towards the middle order, Pradeep and Sasidhar. I think they basically, even though they were slower, but they were pacing it really well. And towards the end, that big over changed the whole equation of the game.
Right.
Avi, I want to take you back in time here because I got a call from Vijay Shanmugam after last week's show.
Okay.
He wanted to know why I picked against Dynamites in the Dynamites versus Troy Hawks game. And you know me, if somebody asks me a question, I always give them what I frankly think about something. And I told him that, Vijay, what I have concerns about is with the Dynamites batting. And, somehow the Dynamites seem to think 60, 65, 70 run targets. And I just did not feel 70 runs or 65 runs is going to stop Troy Hawks. And so I gave him the honest advice that you probably need 100 to 110 on the board for you to win the game. But obviously I was wrong because 101, he did get to 101, but probably he should have taken the higher end of the range, which I gave him, which is maybe he probably needed 115 or 120 is what I'm thinking, because the concerns is with the Dynamites batting, not necessarily their bowling. But I did tell him that, I did think that the Troy Hawks batting was decent enough to score 100 runs against the Dynamites bowling. But I wanted to ask you, do you know what is the most famous scorecard entry in form of a dismissal in all of Test cricket?
Was it okay? I think I know this.
Yeah. Tell me what it is.
Scorecard entry.
Yeah, the most famous scorecard entry in all of Test cricket.
Was it Lily caught Willie Ball Dilly or something? Yeah.
There you go, baby. That was what December 18, 1979. It was the Ashes Test. It was at the Waka. Lily came into bat, and Dilly was not a regular bowler. All right. So this was most unlikely because Dilly started bowling to Lily, and sure enough, Lily gave a catch to Willie, and the scorecard read Lily caught Willie bowled Dilly. All right. So now you know what? Do you know what is a vegetarian dismissal? I probably may not know it because you need to go a little more back in time. We are talking about 1913. All right. There was a guy named, the batsman's name was Chaplin. All right. I hope it was not Charlie Chaplin, but anyway, it was Chaplin. There was a guy by the name of George Beat, all right? He was the wicket keeper, all right? And then there was a guy by the name of Fred Root, and he was the bowler. And sure enough, Chaplin was caught, beat, bowled Root. Beetroot, makes sense? That is the vegetarian dismissal, all right? Caught, beat, bowled Root, all right? And the funny thing is, these guys played for almost 15 years together, and that never happened. And after they retired, they both went into umpiring. And the funny thing is, they never umpired the same game together, even though it was in the same county and things like that. They never umpired the same game together. George Beat died, and then Root continued umpiring for a much longer time. Why do I bring these two scorecard entries? Because when I look at the Dynamite scorecard, let's go back and take a look at the Dynamite scorecard, all right? When we look at the Dynamite scorecard, well, I see that, scroll down, Satya, the Dynamite scorecard, please. Yep, there you go. And everything was looking good for Dynamites until Avinash Chandar and Arun Saminathan was there. Then comes disaster. You have Saurabh, 0. Sai Goginedi, 0. Satish Shankara, 0. The way I look at it is the 3 S's in the team. The guys whose name starts with S. And the last guy is Satish Shankara, which is a double S. All right? These S's combine together to score 3 zeros. That's exactly what happened in this game. All right? 3 S's.
Each in 3 balls.
Each of them, in 3 balls. How much more? How much more can you get a bizarre entry like this? That is what made me remember Lily caught Willie, bowled Dilly, and made me remember the beetroot incident, caught, beat, bowled Root. This one, where all 3 of them scored ducks and they all played 3 balls. How identical and how ironical was the scorecard? But that's pretty much, that's what happened. The 3 S's scored 3 zeros. And that is where you have the DCL version of one of the most famous scorecard entries happened in this game. But once again, our friends in Dynamites, they keep reminding me every time I want to forget about this octopus on roller skates. Once again, this 1 step forward, 2 step backward theory keeps popping up. But I still think Dynamites are in good controlling shape because they have 1 easy game and then they have 1 game against Indus Thunders. So they have a game against Dark Horses, which I think they should be able to win. And as long as they win that game, I don't think anybody is touching them. So I think FCC will be hoping with all their might that Dynamites lose that game. But, these are times where you're hoping that you will win and you're also hoping that your opponent will lose, you see. Something which our friend Partha was hoping last week when going into the Brownstown game. Remember, he was targeting the number 2 spot or the number 3 spot. All right. He was hoping that KRCC will lose. All right. And he was hoping KRCC will lose and he will beat Brownstown, which was automatically concluded. Well, the game threw up a curveball on him. So we'll get to that game when we get to it. But anyway, this was an interesting thing from a scorecard point of view. But Dynamite still have some work, but I think they will get it done against Dark Horses.
Well, next time Vijay Shanmugam asks you, why did you bet against me? I think me and Parthiv will ask him, saying, what did you do for the guys that bet for you? For the bet with you. Cost us how many ever points it is on the analyst contest. So, but anyways, following on, Southfield Super Kings versus UCA, SSK winning this, but albeit not in the most convincing fashion.
Yeah, I think SSK has been throughout this season, playing in this manner. They have been able to win games, but even the games they should be winning are not that convincing. And I think the Pool A has really heated up, especially with FCC coming back and winning some of the games. That puts SSK out of the playoff scenario. And, with Patriots also losing, FCC have a much better game. In this case, I think pretty much everybody expected SSK to win. They did win, but they lost a more wickets than they should have. UCA hasn't delivered. I think they started promisingly. I think we had them as our guests in the earlier weeks. They were looking promising, but like other teams like Punjab Warriors, UCA, Hitman, that curve has started to dip as as the season has gone through. And I think it's because of the experience, right? The longer the tournament runs, you basically have injuries, you have availability issues, you have players who basically are going to be figured out by opposition teams, those kinds of things. So I think UCA is likewise going through that transition and that phase. In this case, there isn't much to talk about in terms of the performances. Pretty much everybody from the SSK bowling, were among the wickets. Apart from the first bowler who just basically bowled 1 over, everybody was amongst the wickets, and a handful of them. And on the batting side, SSK, I think Vinod has always given them a good start. He continued to do so. But it was towards the end that they had to rely on Shiva and Kalyan to kind of finish the game for them without, more damage to their, their scorecard. So all in all, I think convincing. I wouldn't say a convincing win, but a good win for SSK. At least they keep themselves in the hunt.
Right. Gentlemen, we are at the 9 o'clock mark and we have about 7 games to go after this. So let's try and hustle a bit.
Yep.
All right. I did get the note from Satya too that we are hitting the 9 o'clock mark. So Avi, I will skip on the color on this game to help out. And then I just wanted to say, hey, good job on remembering Lily caught Willie Bull Dilly. That requires some ability. So congrats.
I am glad you asked me that question. And I'm glad I didn't belie your faith on me. And kudos on going back all the way to 1913. That was an interesting bit of trivia. I did not know that. So it's quite fascinating, those tidbits. Thank you for that, Viju. Pokies versus Sterling Strikers. I was actually watching this game for a bit. At least I think the latter part of the Pokies batting, and then I left again because I couldn't stay for too long. But a more clinical win than I think most of you expected, if I'm not wrong.
Absolutely. I think we were split on this one, 2-2, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Between Pokies and Sterling Strikers. You obviously being part of Pokies.
Right.
But I also believe Pokies are also kind of in that resurgence. And Saran Raj has been performing throughout the season, and the batting is starting to look good. Vignesh obviously is stepping up, and this time he not only just did with the bat, but also his critical over. And we'll talk about when we go to the Sterling Strikers batting card. He changed the game from there. I mean, the Sterling Strikers were in the hunt, but that 1 over basically finished them off. And it's great to see Prasanna also in the mix. I think this is probably, if not the playoff lineup, close to the playoff lineup. Avi, you might know more. I don't know who's missing from you, and probably yourself included in this. But I expect all of these guys to be playing coming into the playoffs in this 12 to 13, that kind of range. But it's great to see. And Sterling Strikers, I think the scorecard was kind of reversed. There was only one person who was holding between Pokies and Sterling Strikers, and that was Syed Ahmed, and he was really playing well. I mean, I was watching some of the scorecard and the ball parade. He was not only just scoring, but he was scoring really fast, and that was the problem. And if he had got support from at least one of the batsmen, I mean, Syed Mujtaba did stay with him for a minute, but none of the batters really gave him any support. I think that was where the Sterling Strikers lost it, is lack of partnerships at the top. Razali failed as well. He's normally very reliable, but he failed as well. And apart from him, Syed Ahmed, I think the batting didn't really have an answer. And on the bowling side, it's pretty usual. You see Prasanna, Ravi, Neil, all amongst the wickets.
So this is a different Prasanna. So this is a different Prasanna, though. It's not Prasanna.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yes. So all in all, I think Pokies right time to get starting to get noticed, starting to put on their playoff faces, and starting to kind of become more threatening that we expect from Pokies.
Right.
Avi, you remember the murderer's row quote, which I said that Sterling Strikers is going to have to go through the murderer's row of GLCC. Well, they passed the GLCC test in flying colors. Next up was Pokeries, and Pokeries took them down. If you ask me, this is the real Pokeries team. This is the real Pokeries team which showed up. It was a complete performance, and I agree with you. This was a clinical performance, which you said right at the beginning. There was batting, there was bowling, there was everything to be happy about this Pokeries performance. There was much to like. And if you ask me, Saran, Vignesh, Prasanna, Neil, Ranjit, all in double figures. And I was so happy to see our good friend Ranjit. I've been accusing him of being like my Rottweiler, not stepping up and asserting himself, you see.
Right.
And my Rottweiler only does assert himself when he feels that there is a threat. Otherwise, he doesn't want to do anything. And I felt that, maybe our friend Ranjit needs to do that. But anyway, I'm happy to see this 136 in 25 is a super score. But if you ask me, the bowlers, Vignesh broke the game open. And if you ask me, I do not know if you guys remember this. Syed Ahmed had a ball of a game, but you guys probably do not know who is this Syed Ahmed. I know who this Syed Ahmed is.
I found out at the game because he actually came to me and somebody yelled out saying, "Avi bhai, kahan ho? Kyun nahi khel rahe?" And
Okay.
I was like, "Good God, this is you!" And he's like, all of last week on one of the previous shows, I think his name must have come up, and he's like, all the while they kept saying Syed Ahmed, and Avinash didn't say a word when he knows me so well because he knows me by another name.
Okay.
But please go.
So, here is the thing. Syed Ahmed played for Glads. All right.
Oh, he did.
Syed Ahmed. Oh, yeah, he played for Glads. He even played in the playoffs for Glads. All right. Even I think he played in a semi-final game, if I'm not mistaken. So Syed Ahmed played for Glads because remember, when Bridges joined Glads, he used to play for Bridges. Syed Ahmed used to live in Lansing. Are
you sure this is
even
Satya has a very puzzled look on his face.
Okay, I am absolutely certain. I can stand on my head if you want me to do that. All right. Syed Ahmed played for Bridges. All right. And then when Bridges and Glads merged, we had it Syed Ahmed. Syed Ahmed might be the oldest player on Sterling strikers. But don't tell him that. He'll always have some body part paining or something like that. And he'll always be complaining that this is hurting and that is hurting and there is this hurting. All that is genuinely true because he is close to my age, if I am not mistaken. All right. But, and at our ages, even things which we can imagine start hurting. All right. So what happens is, Syed Ahmed, let me tell you, I have a lot of respect for him. He's a very good bowler, but when you go every year older, that bowling tends to fall down a little bit, but he still can bat, baby. He can bat lights out. All right. I have never had any doubts about his ability to bat. I have seen numerous innings from Syed Ahmed where he has really, really outperformed everybody else on the field. Who cares about an age? Age is just a number. He can do lights out batting. And guess what? He is looking forward to playing against Glads in the Glads versus Sterling Strikers game coming up next Wednesday. And so what? Guess what? He has already asked for a runner for that game because he's already injured. And guess what? Our friend Satya Velayutham is probably working at that time, so he won't be leading the team. So when this question was posed, I said, well, it's up to the skipper. And who is the skipper? Well, it's Syed's old buddy, Kishan Kanandetti, who is the automatic skipper when Satya is not there. Well, Kishan and Syed are very good friends. And guess what? Syed called Kishan directly. I don't think he called. He texted Kishan directly. Hey, I need a runner. And Syed and Kishan is like, man, you want a runner? I'm ready to give you a golf cart, baby. I'm ready to give you a golf cart. You can have a golf cart too if you want. All right. So the runner has already been given. No problems. You want you want runner, you want golf cart, you want, I don't know, a Lamborghini, will give you that also. That's it. You just come and play. And so I can assure you, both these analysts, I'm telling you up front, will be fielding a lot of Lansing players because those guys have all played only 2 games. Last couple of weeks, they have been having these playoffs in Lansing, and we have not been able to get any of them to play, and they have all played only 2 games. But guess what? The moment we play Sterling Strikers, all these guys would have qualified, and you know how important it is to qualify players because especially for a team like us where we always run into problems getting 11. So, but there's no truth in the rumor that, instruction is coming from India and we are doing it. The skipper always has a lot of freedom in doing what they think is right. And we want Syed to play and we want him to have a good game.
This is a family show. I won't mention the retort that immediately came to my mind.
All right. But anyway, the skipper for that game has already given us approval and we look forward to it. But this game, as long as Syed was in the middle, I thought Pokris were in trouble. And in fact, remember in our chat group, I said, hey, Syed Ahmed is making this game very, very interesting. And then Vignesh came and the real Vignesh showed up and in 1 over, he took out Syed and then he took out one more wicket and that was all that was needed. And the fat lady started singing at the top of her voice. And the Pokris were home with bonus and everything else. But it was a great game from Pokris.
Yes, sir.
All right.
This is the one thing. Yeah, the point you made about Ranjit was definitely very, very good. I mean, I was there when he went in to go in at number 8 and still given and not feel let down by that, but to actually take the bull by the horns and play the way he did, I think was quite remarkable. So definite shout out to him in addition to all the other players that fired. But Canton 11 versus Rising Stars, expectedly Canton 11 winning this one quite comfortably. Rising Stars, to be honest, I think the fact that they reached 94 was probably beyond expectations, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think Rising Stars haven't been, performing at all at the level which we would expect them to perform. Yes, they were always been an underdog. They've always missed out on the playoffs, but they were able to win games. Beating some of the big teams and causing some upsets. But this season has been a total dismal. They've just won 2 games from the 8 games that they played. In this game, also, I think they had a chance. They were playing Canton 11, who have been on the decline after their great heroic win against Sterling Strikers. But after that, that 137, I think it was beyond Rising Star. So, in the interest of time, I won't go into too much detail. The only thing is, both these teams, basically, played for fun. I don't think both these teams have a chance for playoffs. Canton 11 miss out on because of the recent performances. Rising Stars, on the other hand, they need to really recruit some good players.
Right.
Avi, I'm going to, in the interest of time, I'm going to pass on this game because we have to do some catching up. We are running behind on schedule. And I wanted to comment on the FCC versus Safaris game. So I'm going to probably use a little bit of time on that one.
Which indeed is the one next up, and looks like it was an absolute walloping of the Safaris by the FCC.
Yes, and I think this was another game where all analysts were split. I think I had chosen FCC. I think maybe someone else, maybe it was you, Avi, who chose an FCC as well. Not sure,
no,
but there was.
I might have gone with the Safaris actually. I believe that's
okay. So maybe it was just me, but I had basically faith in FCC because I knew that they are yes, they have been a new team, so things are in that mix. But once they get it right, I think they are going to be a dangerous team with the kind of experience and the kind of lineup they have, and that's exactly what happened here. Look at the scoring card. The experience of Prabhu, Teju, Vijay Matta, our age-old DCL veteran. It came to the fore. 187, they slammed them completely. Safaris out of the game, and Safaris for a good amount of time in this season have been threatening to get into the playoffs. They have been the team to really who have performed more than what everybody would have expected from the last season. But again, they have failed to kind of capitalize on some of the momentum they were carrying, and now I think they sit towards the bottom of the pool, probably out of the playoffs now. But great performances from FCC batting.
Now this Prabhu that's played for FCC, is that the Prabhu that used to be in Knockers?
Yeah, okay. That's the same Prabhu. Yep. Go ahead.
Viju, you said you.
Avi, the words obliteration, massacre, decimation, carnage, extermination. and any other words which you can think of all come up when this game comes up. If you ask me, Parthiv, let me ask you a question. Do you ever seen an elephant in Lululemon yoga pants?
Maybe in an animated movie, but yeah, no, not real.
Not in a real one, but reports out of Detroit, I told you long back ago, said that, hey, the former Shahenshah of DCL, none other than Vijay Matta, had bloated in size, you see, but the man still wears number 122, all right? And I saw this game live. That 122 Avi stands for that old DCL record, which was 122 runs. And Vijay Matta scored 122 runs. So he wears that 122 number to remind everyone of the great exploits he had once upon a time. Yes, Vijay Matta is huge, but let me tell you something. And Parthiv, he's eating a lot of meat, baby. He's eating a lot of meat, whatever it is. But I can say that there was an elephant-sized guy that I saw there. You know me, I'm going to call it, if I see a spade, I'm going to call it a spade. This was an elephant-sized guy, but he was having an elephant-sized game also, all right? So I don't care about the elephant-sized guy as long as he has an elephant-sized game. And this was a massive game. And Parthu, any day of the week, any day of the year, any day of the millennium, I'll take 10% of an elephant than 100% of a rat. I'll take 10% of an elephant, baby, over 100% of a rat. You see, the
Satya,
elephant
Satya, you may want to go to the other scorecard. That's what I was about to say. Please, sorry, Vijay. I apologize for interrupting.
Yeah, and you see, an elephant doesn't bite, but it is the trunk which really does all the damage. And here you saw blow after blow from Vijay Matta. If you see 2 4s and 5 6s, and he scored this in 47 balls. And I don't care about all the haters. They can hate on Vijay Matta, but let me tell you something. I really don't care about his size. The former Shahenshah of DCL was back, and he showed every Tom, Dick, and Harry that he still got game, baby. He still got game. And in fact, it is an elephant-sized game, all right? Our friend Swarna Ratul Mritini was leading the MVP race this year. And our friend Vijay Matta wanted to send a special message to Swarna Mritini. Man, you might be the golden Mritini, but I am the Shahenshah of DCL. I was the Shahenshah of DCL. And let me give you a line from that movie, Shahenshah. Rishte mein to hum tumhare baap lagte hain. Naam hai Shahenshah. All right. And so, sure enough, Vijay Matta put his stamp of class. He's a very sportive guy, so I know he'll take it well. He's a wonderful guy to deal with. As a friend, all I can suggest to Matta is, hey, Matta, if you lost some weight, that'll be great, because I remember, I think it was back in 2004, and Parthu may remember this. This guy was the Iron Man of DCL. He had biceps the size of my thighs, Avi. He had biceps the size of my thighs. He was such a well-built guy, all right? But my friend Vijay Matta needs to take some pointers from his skipper Venkat Vadnala on how to remain fit and trim. And he still is bowling the same great line and length which he was bowling 5 years ago. The man is not aging, as they just came on the show and said. But the way FCC performed in this game, this is what we were expecting at the beginning of the season. But this is not what we got. And sure enough, suddenly they played Safaris and they just exploded off the blocks. It was a complete game from FCC. You got to love it. I have to give kudos to Parthiv and to you. I think both of you picked FCC to win. I think me and Satya picked Safaris to win. Well, we were absolutely...
I actually picked Safaris too.
Oh, is it? All right. I thought 2 guys picked Safaris and 2 guys picked FCC.
If I'm not mistaken, I have, it was only Parthiv. So,
all right. Okay. Whichever way, you know what? Matta was the Iron Man, and there is no way to put this other than to tell the honest truth to Matta that, you know, I mean, hey, take it in the right spirit. Great player, but I think he could be an even greater player if he probably lost a little bit of pounds.
Yeah. So a couple of things I want to highlight in this is, one, there was a hat trick from Uday, and one of the overs went for 27. I think Vijay Matta took it to Ravi Rachan. 27. I'm not sure as to what's the highest ever given in an over in DCL, but this should be pretty close.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
And what will be interesting is FCC play against Patriots on September 11th, and I think that game is going to decide either the playoff spot or at least the fourth and fifth spot. If
no, it's going to be the playoff spot. Whoever wins that game is going to take that playoff spot.
Yeah,
the final
that's
spot,
gonna
the 16th.
I believe so.
The fifth spot.
The fifth spot. I think the fifth spot will go to the winner of the FCC versus Patriots game.
Oh,
Because if you ask me, Dynamites for all practical purposes will go to 30 or 31.
Right.
And then what happens is, these two guys, they'll have to fight it out. Only one of them is going to get that 4 or 5 points, you see. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Patriots versus FCC is going to be the critical game.
Yeah, and in that scenario, I fancy FCC with all its experience, because I think Patriots had a golden chance to seal their playoff, and they didn't. Even a point would have made a lot of difference.
Yeah, I think unless and until
Anyway.
I think they're probably banking a bit too much on the hard hitting of Naresh Sundar, right? So unless he clicks in that game, it's going to be a tough ask. Hitman versus Kings 11, however, looks like turned out to be a bit of a thrilling game. That Kings 11 took it all the way up to the last over. I know we had this probably as the showcase game of the week last week, didn't we? So it did live up to it.
Yes, it absolutely lived up to it. And this game was something which I was also following very closely, considering that we were not doing well with the Brownstown. So I absolutely wanted Kings 11 to win, because a win for Hitman would have made our life very, very difficult. So although Hitman got a bonus point, but I think Kings 11 did come out. And I think it was Abhilash at the start, and then Arjun Chittamani and Vikram. I think those three people, their contribution with the bat, although it was a little slower, and I'm not sure why Kings 11 was taking it that slow. Probably they wanted to ensure the victory, but generally, Kings 11 generally has an explosive score. And yet again, the person who I always try to see in the Kings 11 scorecard, Nikhil Kumar, has another 0. And I don't know whether and every time I see that, I blame my bowlers. Like, what did we do to get thrashed by, Nikhil? And every time after that, he's been, scoring those beloved zeros. So, there must be something wrong with what we did. But on the Hitman side, I think they were, they had to win this game. They basically, if they had won this game, they would have given a chance, and then it would be a 3-way between Kings 11 strikers and Hitman, especially because next week we play Kings 11. So this was a critical game for them to have that chance. But now I think their fate now relies on us strikers and some of the other teams losing for them to kind of get through to the playoffs. So I think the Hitmen also, probably didn't make enough scores. 93 was at par, but they probably needed more. Kings 11 bowling has been impressive. They've always been able to, especially if you see the Sunil at the start, 5 overs, 2 minutes, 5 runs and 4 wickets. Astounding. I don't know. I would just dream of this spell, and especially the last 4 wickets are all bowled. And I'm hoping that that's not a scoring error, but that's another scorecard fantasy which you'd probably want is all bowled. The last 4 batsmen, Sunil got all of them bowled. So all in all, I think a great win for Kings 11, and that makes next weekend with us very, very interesting.
Arthur, if you remember correctly, our friend Vijay Kammam came on the show last week, and he highlighted Sunil Somawarapu, and he said he is a critical bowler for him. And sure enough, come this game, Sunil Somawarapu came and performed. And then last week in the show, we did give a free advice to Arun Shankar that they need to up that scoring a bit. Yes, they did up that scoring a bit from the 60s to the 90s. But then again, I think if this was more like 105, maybe the outcome would have been different. So ultimately that 12-run shot probably is costing them the win here. But Chetan Venkatesh seems to have got the memo because he scored 33 runs in 24 balls. But I think this is a learning experience for this team. It's a new team, but they have a lot to be proud of. They have a good skipper in Arun Shankar. They seem to be hungry. They want to learn. So let's give them credit for that. But as you rightly said, I told this, 4 weeks ago, that of all the three teams fighting for the playoff spot, I could foresee that the toughest assignment was for Hitman to make the playoffs. I felt all along 4 weeks ago that Strikers and Kings 11 will get in, and that's exactly what is happening. And barring a miracle, I don't see our Hitman friends making it into the playoffs. But Abhilash, Arjun, and Vikram, they were the three amigos in this game, and they got the job done. So I just wanted to say that and sign off from this game.
Yeah, for Hitman to make it, I think Strikers has to lose both games, and they have to beat Blasters. That is their equation.
We do have someone joining us. I believe that's my old friend Mansab, one that I've played with and against since 2011. So it's a real pleasure to have him join the show. Welcome, Mansab. Good to see you, buddy.
You're on mute, Mansab.
Mansab, you're muted.
That's an unmute. Okay, now is everything working?
Yeah.
Good to see you guys.
Mansab, how are you?
Hey, Vijay. You still rocking, huh?
I'm still rocking, man.
You have nothing else to do? Now you become a host of Primetime?
Yeah, what to do? Our friend Satya managed to grab me in and ask me to get on the show. So I did do that.
That's nice. That's nice. You guys been doing good. I was watching you guys and pulling all the other teams is going down badly, huh? This year.
Well, I have a lot of questions for you, my friend. But
okay.
Great. So
yeah, let's finish that.
Yeah, we have about 3 games to go. Mansab, if you're okay, just hanging around.
Okay, go. Okay, go ahead.
We'll and feel free to jump in if you notice anything about any of those teams that you'd like to comment on.
Okay, no problem.
Great. So
he might want to comment on this game coming up, Strikers versus Brownstown. Only problem was he didn't play the game.
Exactly. So exactly. That's why I wanted to get done with those games. So, but before we come to that game, KRCC versus Detroit Bulls, maybe not much to talk there. I'm a bit surprised. KRCC were limited to 91 all out, but then Detroit Bulls again flattering to deceive. And
so this was a game I think was played at Noai Power Park, and both us and KRCC were playing like right next to each other's field. And I think because there was no overnight rain last week, it was pretty dry. I think there was considerable amount of sand on the turf. And that made batting really difficult. Ball was stopping, the spinners were really on top. And even if you look at our scorecard, it was 91 as well. Okay. So KRCC obviously has a better batting lineup than we do, but even they were struggling. So I don't, obviously we can't really blame the pitch and the ground, but that was some of the conditions which we started with. So KRCC, I think, were able to pull it while we couldn't do it from our side. I think the key difference here is the bowling from KRCC. I think Jasneet, like he always does, controlled the bowling, was able to deliver when the crunch situation, and he's the go-to bowler. So if you look at his figures, 4 overs, 1 made and 9 runs and 3 wickets in a low-scoring match. I think that kind of bowling makes all the difference. He, along with Josh. Now, Josh is a new bowler which I haven't seen before. He is a pretty exciting prospect. He's fast, he's young, and he's just raw. And I'm pretty sure down the years, I'm pretty sure if he stays here and plays in DCL, we'll probably see a lot more of him.
Right, and it's interesting to see Tamim Oni there. I know it's a discussion that me and Viju had in our internal WhatsApp group before the show began. So yes, Viju, you were about to say something.
No, Avi, in the interest of time, I'm going to pass on commenting on this game. I think the game was a pretty one-sided game. Congrats to our friends at KRCC.
Thank you very much for that, Viju. KRCC versus MI Rangers. This, I believe, was played in at Keith Fields, right next to the Pokiries Sterling Strikers game. And when somebody mentioned the target for MI Rangers was 113, I was a bit hesitant to see, thinking that the MI Rangers may or may not pull it off, but looks like they pulled it off quite convincingly.
Yes, and I think we talked about this person, Anush, in our previous game. I think that his innings of that 30 runs and 13 balls made all the difference. I
Oh my
mean,
goodness.
while yes, that chasing and especially like towards the end, coming in and wrapping the game up in that style,
Right.
took basically MCC Miles by surprise. I'm pretty sure MCC Miles were in the game.
Mhm.
If you look at the scorecard, 21 overs, they were 78. And from there, 4 overs, you probably need probably what, 30 runs.
Yeah.
And, Anush Kumar basically did that. So I guess MCC Miles lost it towards the end, the death overs, 4 overs, 30 runs. From there, you would expect the bowling team to win, especially in
Mhm.
DCL, uh, where you basically have a controlled ground. But
Right.
here, I think Anush just basically took to the bowling and just wrapped it up.
Yeah, I think what was the need of the hour was like a Mansab-esque batting, and I think Anush gave that for these guys. So Anush is a pretty talented kid, to be honest, and I'm so glad to see him have a great weekend.
Yeah, Avi, I already covered Anush in the previous segment, so I combined both those games. So
Yep.
I'm going to pass on this game too.
Great, which brings us to the final game of this weekend, and where our guest that's joined us might be a bit interested in venturing some opinions. Strikers versus Brownstown. And I think this is another one where a whole bunch of us tripped up, because I think we'd all predicted Strikers to win this one. But
Yes.
Yeah.
but Parthiv, you and your buddies, come on.
Parthiv,
We
the entire house bet on Parthiv and company, and we all lost our shirt.
I know, right?
But yeah, so I myself was shocked when I came back after the game, as well, as to like we were counting, and especially I was having discussions. On WhatsApp with Rashid. He was finding it hard to get players. So that basically made me think we'd probably have an easier game. And I've always said you never take it easy with Brownstown. You never know who comes up and performs for them, and that's exactly what happened. Their bowling wasn't anywhere close to what their normal bowling is, apart from Mujahid, who always plays for them. Sabir, I've never played him before. Sabir Menon, he and Saad, I've played him before. He has that amazing loop, his leg spin, the way he kind of gets that extract from the pitch, the bounce. I think we were just caught on a surprise. We were basically maybe took it too easily, or weren't focused enough, or were already thinking about our next game. Either one of the situations. But we were in a lot of bother. The 91, if you see, we were very lucky to have that. We were 7 for 28 in 8 overs. And I was basically, at that time, I was just saying, get to 50, 60. We'll at least have a chance, a sniff. But late order batting, and that's what happened. I mean, after the three bowlers which Brownstown had, they didn't have the fourth and the fifth and the sixth bowler. So we were able to kind of capitalize on that. And Kishore and Bankim and Rohit, our last three batters, got us those valuable runs, which at least gave us a contest. And after that, we were in the contest. Even if you look at the Brownstown batting, we had like towards the middle order when we got a few wickets, but then Rashid came in, blasted a 2 or 3 sixes, and then the game was completely one-sided. When you are defending 90, if you have 1 or 2 bad overs, that basically tilts the equation altogether, and that's exactly what happened. Rashid came in, he got those 2 or 3 great overs after the break. Like I think it was 13th, 14th, 15th over, and that basically swung the momentum. And after that, it was basically run a ball or less than run a ball, and Brownstown made it. So I would give very big congratulations to Rashid. Somehow he's been able to get these players and have that never give up attitude, and that paid off. I mean, they never ever on the field or on the even before while we were practicing, never really gave up, like we are not going to play. So all kudos to Brownstown. A little late. I was expecting them to this kind of thing much earlier in the season. A little late towards the end, but all in all, it was a great game.
Yeah, Avi, if you ask me, Parthu went from fighting for second spot to now fighting for fourth and fifth spot, as I said before. But if you ask me, Kishore, Bankim, and Rohit, they came to do some solid work. The remaining 8 guys, if you ask me, they came thinking that they were going to Brownstown for a picnic. But for Brownstown, give credit to Yasir and to Zia and to Rashid, Yasir and Zia. Both Yasir and Rashid are good friends of mine. So I was very happy to see them in the runs. In fact, I was not even sure if this game was even going to take place, because I had a feeling that Rashid might give a walkover to strikers and to the next opponent, because it's very difficult to get people to come and play when you know that you're not going to make the playoffs. So, but credited to Rashid, he had a phenomenal game. So he single-handedly won them the game, and he gave Parthiv a lot of sleepless nights until this weekend's game, I guess.
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
All right, we have a panelist, the other panelist.
Yeah, looks like we have the full box here. We also have, we're very happy to welcome Satish Gaba from Team KRCC to our show, and as well as Vamsi KK from Team FCC, I believe. No, Team Legends, my bad. So Team Legends. Our showcase game of the week, of course, is KRCC versus Legends. And like we mentioned, we also have Mansab joining. So welcome to all of you. And looks like the next few minutes that we have are going to be full of fun with all you guys on board.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So question I have, Mansab, for you.
Satish, I believe you're on mute if you're trying to say something. Yep.
Yeah, hi Avi. Thank you for inviting us.
Oh, real pleasure to have you guys. Yep.
Hi, Satish. This is the first time I'm seeing Satish face to face. So, hi.
Yeah, hi, Avi. How are you?
I have heard him analyze on the Jagan Ponda show. So, I liked his analysis. So, that's from that day, I always wanted to see who is the Satish Gaba, because as an analyst, he was a great analyst. So, wanted to give a shout out.
Oh, thank you. Thank
He's
you very
also a
much.
pretty valuable contributor on the field and not just off the field. So, but yes, Parthiv, you were having a question for somebody?
Yes, I was going to ask Mansab. So I was going to ask you about your prediction on our channel. Talk us more about Sterling strikers. You predicting them to going to the semis. What makes you believe that? They just lost the last match.
Oh, that was horrible. I got to know about that, and there was lots of umpire errors, but that's a play of the game. I talked to Tala and Umar and about that.
Come
game,
on,
what
that's
happened.
not fair.
I asked them straight up, what happened? They said there were one run out, which is not miles away, and umpire did not give a run out. And there was Azaz was batting, and there was no nick, and umpire straight up give the caught behind. And I asked them, do you have a video about that? They said no. Well, next time you should have it before make a complaint about that. What I think Sterling strikers are playing for them for last 3 years. They groom pretty well, and they have what I see in Sterling strikers right now. They are like a Brownstown. What Brownstown used to be in 2019, the top order and middle order and the finishers. That's what I see in Sterling strikers right now. They are missing one leg in the bowling side, but in the batting side, they are very tough, especially their top batsmen like Ali. If he stands up, he can take the game by one hand. And if you go down, they have Azaz and Heather, the big hitters. So they in the middle order, they have Raza, and they have one other guy, Rian Bhai, who can control the game, understand the DCL game, how to take the middle over games, and to what run rate you need to play. So Sterling strikers, if you see them, I see them as where the Brownstone used to be, to how to control the game. They learned a lot over the years. They are playing so many games. They are playing all season long, basically. They are playing DCL, they are playing FCC League, Winter. So their players are intact. That's what I think they're gonna be coming to the semifinals. If there's one if comes up. There are some players which they're going to play the Mishka F40 games. Same as the Glads have a problem. So if those players played uh, playoff games from Sterling Strikers, I believe they're gonna be in semis for sure.
So can we safely say that the mantle has passed from Brownstone to Sterling Strikers now as the team to look out for?
Yes, you can say that because I worked on this team for last 2 years, actually 2.5 years now. Me and Jawad, Tala, and Umar, we are working very hard to put this team and making this team to come to the bigger level. I supposed to play Sterling Striker this year, but I have a commitment with the Brownstown. That's why I did not join the Sterling Strikers. So I told them, they were like, okay, we should not put the team. I said, well, you already registered the name. Let's put the team, have a feeling of the DCL, how it goes, because you guys are playing FCC League, T20s. DCL is totally different thing. You need lots of patience. Played this year, and I was not expecting them the way they performed. They performed very well. The reason is that they are playing lots of games. If any team which are playing all over the year, they gonna become to the playoffs. Those teams are gonna be the top teams. And Sterling Strikers, if you see their record, they are always going to other games, other leagues. They are coming to the playoffs. They're having a hard time to cross the first edge of pre-quarterfinals. Once they cross that, they go easily to semis and finals. But if you see that way, I'm 100% sure that if they pass the first ledge of pre-quarterfinal, they're gonna be in the semifinals.
Sounds great.
Just to add to Mansab's point. So yes, so I think Haider probably it's him that goes by Syed Mujtaba in the scorecard. I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So that's what he mentioned. Sorry, it wasn't Syed Ahmed. So when I met Haider, it was after a long time, and we had a lovely conversation. I've known him for a few years now, and he's like, "Oh, you didn't recognize me because the name Haider didn't show up, but it's actually me." And then I was also having a chat with Talha, and based on what they've said, it does, like Mansab mentioned, it does look to be that they're forming a pretty nice cohesive unit. The atmosphere seems to be very nice. An interesting comparison that you made, Mansi, with Brownstown is the fact, one thing I noticed, they could be a bit quicker on the field, including the younger guys. But looks like they are getting in some younger talent, and just based on what Mansab is saying, if they get himself and maybe a couple more other players, maybe with Brownstown slightly.
Yeah, next year you will seeing lots of the pure Sterling Striker players, which this year not playing DCL. They are playing. Some players are playing for Indus. Some players are playing for Glads. Some players are playing for other teams. They are coming back in Sterling Strikers to play at DCL.
Wow, this is breaking news. So you're spilling the beans. There are a lot of players who are going to migrate, including Mansab too.
Yeah.
It looks like
I told Rashid this year I'm playing for the Brownstown, but I'm not 100% commitment because I have a commitment to the hardball game, Mishkas and with Shahid Bhai. But next year I am playing for Sterling Strikers. Yes.
All right.
I got other opportunities. I got few other teams approached me to play for them. I said, no, I already made the commitment with the Sterling Strikers.
Great. So it looks like Sterling Strikers are in for a nice solid unit, hopefully next year. And as long as they don't lose someone proportionally, I think they're in for a pretty good season next year, and we should be pretty excited about them. So and I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
Where is Viju? Viju, you had a question? Did he drop? No,
no, I'm here. I was just listening intently to everything what Mansab was saying. I thought I had a few questions for Mansab, but before I went into that, I thought it was only appropriate that I summed up 2019 for the interest of the DCL community. If you ask me, 2019 was the single greatest season by any person in a DCL uniform ever. I remember Arjun Ajbani came back after DCL night and said it was not DCL night, it was the Mansab Butt night. If you ask me, in the 2019, he scored 357 runs in the batting department with 4 fours and 37 sixes. We are saying that Amrendra Nuwala with a 140 strike rate is top of the hill, and he's the king of kings right now. But Mansab had a 160 strike rate, and he had a 32.45 average. His bowling, he was number 25 in DCL in 2019 with 21 wickets taken. And with regards to MVP points, he had 2,085 points, and I don't think anybody has ever broken the 2,000 barrier. And in 2018, if you compared it, he had 288 runs and 19 wickets. So, and the 2018 MVP was Shan from Glads, who's a fabulous player, but Shan had 1590 points. So you're talking about almost a 500-point gain in 2019. So the numbers are simply off the charts. In 2021, if you look at it, Amarendra Nuwala has only 219 runs at this point, you see, and Abhilash has 20 wickets, and Golden Mritini has 1316 points or 1396 points. Question for Parthiv, you were asking what atta or chakki was our friend who's this Hardeep Singh was eating. But my question would have been, man, Mansab, what were you doing in 2019? What were you eating in 2019 for having that kind of a performance? Because it is phenomenal performance. I'm sure.
Vijay, let me tell you a few things. 2019, I was just considering, I'm just playing DCL. I was not playing any other leagues. I was not playing, this year I was playing 5 games over the weekend. So I was pretty much busy playing every club, different teams. 2019, I was just playing one single league, which is the DCL. So that makes a difference. When you concentrate on a one game, one tournament, so you will perform. I remember that semi-final game, and when a game before that, I was talking to Jawad. He was playing for Glads, and I told Jawad that we're going to beat the Glads. He said, how are you going to beat them? I said, you look at it, you will see we're going to beat them. And we have a rain-out game. And Rashid came to me and asked me, you want to play this game? I said, yes, go for it. And he said, what do you want to do? I said, let's do the bowling. Let's see where Glad does and where the Glad lands. And that's what we did. We bowled first after the rain.
But Mansab, when that 2019, we won the toss. We won the toss and elected to bat.
I understand that, but before
the first game we dominated, but we did not expect that outcome in the next game. Okay, so we relaxed.
I know that. Before the toss, Rashid came to me, he said, game it's gonna be cancelled because of rain. If we win the toss, what do you wanna do? I said, we're gonna bowl first. Okay. He said, why you wanna bowl first? I told him clearly, we want to see to make sure what Glads brings up and how we gonna match them up to the next game next week. And that's what we did. If you see that, I was bowling all year long with a new ball. On that day, the semi-final, I bowl as a 4th bowler. We bring Talal Bhai as a new ball with the Adnan. So we did few changes because of that. Rain gave us a chance to understand what Glads, how we can beat Glads. That's what the difference was.
Well, also, hitting every ball outside the park also makes a difference.
So the Glads is one big,
it's like, yeah, go ahead.
Your main bowler, what is named the fast bowler, you guys dropped him for the semi-finals. That's what I got to know.
Okay.
How could you do that?
Well,
you're playing the semi-final, your main bowler who's bowling all year long, and you're dropping that main bowler and putting somebody else against the Brownstown and seeing the Brownstown, how they are doing the last games.
No, it was not because it was Brownstown. It was, we had an understanding. Okay, let's go back a little bit. It was not a one-person decision. It was 4 of us together decided. Even then, there was one person who voted for the main bowler, which is Jeet we are talking about.
Yeah,
but the problem was, we looked at quarterfinal, we had to play Raptors. And if you ask anybody in the league, they'll tell you Raptors was a tougher opponent than Brownstown in 2019, based on the body of work, all right? On the body of work, Raptors had come with that Sri Teja guy who had hit 137 in that season. They had hit what is that, 255 in one game. So we looked at it and said, we have to beat Raptors, then we have to beat Brownstown to even to get to the final. So it was a very difficult road, but we looked at it and said, okay, Brownstown, we could only accommodate Jawad or who's this, or Jeet. So what we said is, here is this thing, we're going to play Jeet in the quarterfinal, but we are going to play Jawad in the semi-final. And in the final, if we had reached, both of them would have played. Somebody else would have sat down. So that was our clear understanding. But we had a selection issue in the sense that, who do you drop? That's the problem. Sometimes who exactly do you drop? So
Well,
what the
if the way I think, the bowlers in the DCL especially, the bowlers change the game. If you have a good bowlers, you can have a low scoring target to achieve. If in that game, Glad does not have a six bowler, I can see Arjun standing on the mid wicket, deep mid wicket, and was yelling. I never seen Arjun yelling in my life. I've been playing with Arjun for a long, long time against him. But that game, I see first time Arjun getting upset about that, because you guys did not have a bowler that day. You guys have a medium pacers, you don't have a fast bowler. So what happened was, we ripped the medium pacer right out the park. Yeah, if there's a Jeet there, it could be a different game. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, and I think our bigger problem was also Udit was not playing that game. That was a huge loss for us because he got injured. He's the guy who scored the 50 in the previous game. I mean, that was a huge problem for us.
Yeah, if your main batsman is not playing, so you should have a solid bowling side, which you don't have it.
So coming back to this year, tell me what went wrong for Brownstown this year.
What happened this year was, our main players, especially Talal Bhai, and you see the Adnan, Shahzad, these were not available. And second issue was with them, they did not play any sports, any game in 2020 in the COVID season. Even though I was playing in 2020 in FCC League and Hardball League, but these players did not play any game. They were unfit. Not been unfit, they never fit to play. They came in. If Talal Bhai came play 2 games, he did not perform. Same thing with the Shahzad. Same thing with Adnan, played few games. He hit 2 sixes and he had a back injury. After that, he got injured. He tried to take a catch and fall down. He hurt the knee. So this year we did not have a player. Brownstown did not have a player. So the last game against KRCC, I was so frustrated. I want to play that game. I did not play. The reason was, what is the point if I come to the ground, putting my 100% effort, and I don't have a sporting players to support me? We lost the game against a team. We could not chase, I think it's 84 runs or something like that. And 28 runs, the whole team was got out. And that game, if we have a full team, we can get them out under 50 runs. So I was very disappointed. I was very disappointed this year that the way the Brownstown played, especially the players did not show up. Every time the Brownstown's main players, they show up in the middle and we start clicking. This year, that thing not even happened. We brought Saeed and other players, but they are available because of other hardball players, games. But if you don't have a main players playing, how are you going to win the game?
Yeah, I think also a 10-game season did not help matters, because if you have additional 2 games, you probably can work yourself in, and that did not happen. You already answered the question whether we'll see you in a Brownstown uniform again. You already answered the question. Let me ask you a parallel question. Is this the end for Brownstown? Are we seeing the end of Brownstown?
Well, I don't know. Personally, you might not know. If Rashid puts the teams, and if those players, committed players, come back again next year, I would go and play again for the Brownstown. I have no issues.
Okay. But you just now said you are playing for Sterling Strikers.
As of right now, I'm playing for Sterling Strikers. Yes.
Oh, so but it could change.
It could change only.
In other words, if Rashid still has hope, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help Rashid out here. I am trying my best to help. I like seeing Rashid play.
I spoke to Rashid the other day. I told him, if we gonna have a same situation next year, do not even put the team.
Okay.
And if you think these players did not play this year, fully committed next year, and they come up and play at least 8 games, then put the team. Otherwise, don't waste the time.
Okay. So Rashid still has hope. That's all I was trying to get. I was trying to get see, I got something out on national television which was not available 10 minutes ago, because 10 minutes ago you said I am playing for Sterling Strikers. Sign me up for Sterling Strikers. Now you're saying
I also said the other 2 teams approached me. I did not give their name.
Yeah, no.
They wanted to play for them, and I considered them, but I was more going towards
Mansab, you want to know the truth? Go and ask all 32 teams. All 32 teams will probably take you. All right. So forget the 2 teams. All right. So come on, man.
So one is I would love to read what is going on in the Sterling Striker skipper's mind right now, as he heard Mansab say what he just did. And the second thing, one of the teams that probably asked you is, I'm guessing, is Indus, because Indus is just going to ask you anyway. So
let me tell you something. As long as Rashid is alive, I have faith in Rashid Malik. They say, in God we trust. I trust in Rashid Malik. All right, let me tell you that. All right, I still think it's not all done for Brownstown. All Rashid has to do is correct a few things.
Here's the thing is, I want to concentrate next 3 years of mine towards to the hardball. I'm sick of playing the softball right now because it's hurting my game. Okay. I cannot concentrate hardball. I want to play for the team that way. The way I used to play for Brownstone, I just played 4 or 5 games, and normally I play hardball. You know, that's what I was looking for. Last 2 years, 3 years, it was my game went down, especially in the hardball because of DCL. The ball come very slow. You can read the ballers pretty good. You can attack on the ballers. When you go play in a other side of the cricket, you lose the neck and everything. My bowling was getting hurt. My batting is getting hurt, and I'm very pissed off myself because of. I understand that I have a good friends. I have a team there. I have to give the time, but I have to see myself too where I stand myself.
You already answered my question. My next question is, if Brownstone comes back, what advice is Mansab, the thinking player, going to give Rashid, the skipper? You already answered that question. So I'm not even going to ask that question anymore. But my questions are done. We have 2 guys who are waiting for the showcase game of the week. We need to dedicate some time to them. But it was wonderful having you on the show. We love having people who speak openly and freely, but a lot of respect for what you bring to the table. And I think this was one of the more interesting conversations we have had. And I'm sure Rashid will find this very interesting, as does Mr. Ehsan Ansari will find it very interesting. They both will be spending some sleepless nights. Hey, as long as they are spending the sleepless nights, I don't care. But Avi and Parthiv, I want to hand it over to you. If you guys have any more questions, I'm done at least with my questions.
I believe all I wanted to say was, Mansab, it was real refreshing to have, like which you said, somebody that speaks his mind and just speaks frankly. So thank you for that. It was.
I just want to say one thing, okay? I talked to Parthiv last time and to give him some suggestions about, to change the game in DCL. What I see this year, our cricket is going very high, but umpiring in DCL is going down. If you notice that we need to work on it. Now you have a primetime show, you get lots of complaints every week about the umpiring. So DCL need to come up with some other plans to work on the umpiring. I understand the umpires are not available, league if league provides it, league have to charge them to send umpire. But we need to come up with some plan, to match up with the other leagues umpiring, If we're gonna make the DCL more bigger, more interesting, we need to have a good umpires on the field.
So let me ask you a quick question. Mansab, how many games have you umpired?
None. The reason
therein lies the problem, my friend. My friend Vamsi Kanangati is saying, man, what a good question you are asking, because point blank question. My point is Satish Gaba goes and umpires. He's a very good umpire. All right. Now he's going to say, man, Mansab, you know the game so well, but you are not umpiring.
So the reason is how many games we played this year all over DCL in the evening games. Tell me.
Evening games, again, that is something I do not know, because I think they have played a few games. I think Vamsi or somebody who knows better, or Satya
so
knows
if you
better.
want to have a good umpires to come and do the umpiring, so you need to have evening games. The reason is the good players only available in the evening. Otherwise, players like me, players like Arjun, they are playing. If there's no DCL, they're playing other league game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand that, but sometimes, this is part of the problem. I'll give you the other side of Brownstone's problem. Brownstone, all right, and you can go and check with Rashid. When they are out of the playoffs, all right, you have to send 2 umpires. Brownstone's Rashid is one of the smartest guys I know. He will give 2 names, which I have never heard in my life. So the moment I realize these people I have never heard of in my life, I will not pick them, because I am afraid. Then how can I? I mean, if I know it is Satish Gaba coming for umpiring, or Vamsi Kanangati, or Belamakonda coming for umpiring,
let's cut it short. I play FCC league, right?
Yes.
They have 1 league umpire every game.
Okay.
And the second umpire, which is the third umpire, leg umpire, which is a teams, any of the teams players are doing it. When they have a 1 main umpire standing from the league, which controls the game. And second thing is, I want to do one more suggestion. The main umpire call is the most important. When the main umpire goes to the leg umpire, that time you get the trouble. That time the fight starts.
You and I are on the same page. I discussed the same issue last week, that the main umpire should go to the leg umpire only if he is convinced that the batsman is out and he just wants a little more confirmation.
He does not need to go to the leg umpire. Leg umpire is there to give the run out.
No, because before giving out, I just want to confirm with you also, hey, did you hear the sound? That's all.
No, you don't.
I have already decided it is out.
Main umpire is facing it.
No, but the problem is the main umpire says not out. Then he goes and listens to the leg umpire. Leg umpire says sound is there. But sound can come from a lot of places. And the next thing you know, the leg umpire is the most important person here.
Rule next year, whatever the main umpire says, that's a final decision. If the main umpire says out, is out. If it's not out, not out. There's no leg umpire getting involved in the game and changing the game right there.
Well, right now, yes, the leg umpires seem to have a lot of undue influence. I'm not denying that.
Yeah,
it happened in the Sterling Strikers game. I remember in one particular dismissal, the Sterling Strikers almost straight away appealed to the leg umpire, completely ignoring the main umpire. and that dismissal you pointed about Azaz, right? I know there was a bit of a conflict there. I know Azaz was convinced he was not out. And that was also a decision that I think was given by the leg umpire, if I'm not right. And it was a caught behind dismissal.
Yeah.
So it's a valid point that you guys are making.
Avi, that is the same thing.
If you want to get out of trouble, just make the main umpire the final decision maker. That's it. Your half of the problems cuts off right there.
And I am actually surprised that that's not the rule. I think it is the rule, right?
It is the rule. It's the ICC rule. ICC rule is the main umpire takes the decision. Only way he goes to leg umpire when he have 99% doubt. If he have 1% doubt, he does not go. 50% doubt, he does not go to the leg umpire. The issue is leg umpire forcefully comes to the main umpire. Oh, I heard the sound, but you make a decision. No, that's not a rule. Rule is you are seeing the ball. If it's a no ball, if it's a nick, if it's LBW, whatever is it, you're the main person to make a decision. In finals, I am remember that we lost. You know why we lost the finals? In when the half of the game was when we went for batting, and there's this issue happened that Shahzad went inside. Third umpire from outside, he went inside to grab the Shahzad out. He thought he gonna hit somebody. Who the hell you are? Who's sending you inside? Who's telling you to go inside to get the players out from the ground? The main two umpires are in there. They're making decision, whatever is happening. Who you are to go inside? The problem with us is that whenever we give somebody a role for the umpiring, they think that they control the game. The only one person control the game. He's the main umpire standing in the front of the batsman. Simple as that.
Right. And I think it goes two ways too, right? I think even us as players, once the main umpire has given a decision, I think we also should respect his decision.
Simple.
And accept his authority. I think a lot of the times we are also at fault as players where we say, "Arey bhai, leg umpire se pucho, arey leg umpire ne ye bola," and we end up putting pressure on the umpire as well. I think it kind of goes a bit both ways, but ultimately I agree it's the main umpire that has to have the brass knuckles to try and...
Simple. Main umpire make a final decision.
Right.
Does not need to go to leg umpire. Leg umpire is there to give a run out. That's it. Even the height of the...
Avi, I think we can discuss this topic endlessly, but I think the point is...
Thank you guys. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for coming on the show. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, and Vamsi, KK, as well as it's kind of weird for me to call you Vamsi, even because that's what your name shows as. I know everybody calls you KK, including myself. KK and Satish, thank you so much though for waiting patiently. I know we've taken a bit too long. Parthiv, I don't know, has been off camera for a while. I don't know if he's here or if he's moved away for a bit. But this weekend's showcase game of the week is indeed Legends versus KRCC. It's a game that we are all eagerly waiting to follow. Two very good teams clashing this week, and it'll be very interesting to see who comes up on top. We've had a few of these games that we thought would go very close and then have turned out to be a bit of one-sided duds. We hope that won't happen with these two teams, but it is indeed lovely to have you both here. So it's first up, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, first up, KK, I think you guys have been on quite a roll. It's how are you guys shaping up for this game? It's you guys have your full squad. I think you don't have much of a problem with conflict with Mishka, do you?
I don't think so, because with
I
respect,
know Harish is the one guy that's a bit iffy here and there, but it's...
Yeah. Coming to this game, the team is treating it as one more game. To be honest, this week we haven't yet practiced, but if there is a practice session, it will be really good. But to the availability point, except for my brother Murli, I think the rest of the team is available. Murli is injured a few weeks back, and it's good to have him take that additional rest, because we have a long weekend coming up, and so that he'll be fully fit for the rest of the season.
Right.
So he's not playing, he's resting, but the rest of the team is available.
Okay.
Before we go into nitty-gritties, right, I wanted to say something here. So the last time Satish and me played in the opposite teams, Satish Gaba and me, the last time we played in the opposite teams facing each other, the game ended up as a tie.
Okay.
And it was the only instance I played against Satish.
Okay.
It was way back in 2018, but I still remember the game.
All right.
Yeah, I do remember that game. It's a FCC Colors Trophy game, I believe.
Yes. Nice to see you, Satish. And
yeah, same here, KK.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of playing both with as well as and the pain of playing against Satish, and it's always lovely to hear from him. Satish, how are you guys shaping up for this game, and what are your thoughts? I'm sure you're also looking forward to meeting what I think many would consider an even match.
Yeah, so as KK mentioned, again, this is another game for us also, and playing Legend like a team toward the end of the league is actually very good for us, so that it will help us to prepare better for the playoff, because again, Legend is a team. Legend like a team will be playing for the playoff. So I think it's good to have this game little second toward the league. And yeah, definitely we're looking forward to this game.
Nice. And you have a full squad available. I know Yogi was, when I met Yogi a few weeks back, I know he was saying he's having real trouble putting together 11 as the season goes on, and with and a bunch of folks injured as well. But looks like you've also bolstered your ranks by getting in Oni, which was a bit of a surprise addition. And I know Viju was having an interesting question to ask if Yogesh was coming on the show, but you're as good a person to ask that question. Viju, I'll leave it up to you though.
Yeah. So see, basically what I understand, if you ask this question to any other captain, right, how you're shaping up with your playing 12, they always find the difficulties, with some or other players because of multiple leagues going around the corner, right? So
Right.
yes, we always have some or other trouble for the players, but we always manage to get our best team on the ground. So
Right. Are you a bit overtly reliant on Abhishek and him not firing in a few games? Has it been costly for you? I'm assuming, is that a concern?
no, not really, because I'm playing with Abhishek from long, I think more than 8 years now. So I know when his day, like he's bigger hit than anyone else. It's just unnoticed so far, but I think you know about him. So
Oh, very well. Yeah, we've been on the receiving end more than once. So that's so quite familiar. Viju, do you have a list drawn up for these two gentlemen as well? Or? Viju, I believe you're on mute.
Sorry, guys. I have some questions for Satish, and I have some questions for KK. Let's start with Satish first. Satish, tell us about the matchup problems that Legends pose to you as a team with regards to, and how do you neutralize that threat? Obviously, coming into a critical game, there are going to be some things which are going to be bothering you. So you're a very good analyst. Tell me, if you're the skipper for or you're the right-hand man for Yogesh, what advice are you giving to Yogesh as to what threat are you facing from KK's team, and how do you neutralize that threat?
So I see what I'm saying. Legend at this point in our pool, beside our team, I think they have a good bowling attack. So we need to be a little bit caution enough to, when we are playing up front, and if we are not losing couple of wickets at the beginning, I think we have I'm quite confident about this game. So that is one thing. I think we are playing against a good bowling attack. It's something that our batsman has to look after and play with the ball merit.
Okay. I was talking to Jagan the other day. He has KRCC in the final four. Now, my question is, you guys, let me ask you this, because they have a very good unit too. I did want to ask you, what can the public expect from this game? Tell us, why is this? Obviously, they are number one in your pool, and you are number two in the pool. And whoever wins this game probably can take that number one spot. So there's much riding on this game, and you guys have beefed up your roster with Tamim Oni. And it should be a very good matchup against Harish and company. So tell us what the public can look forward in a game like this, because very rarely you have number one versus number two go, and anytime you can get number one versus number two play, especially this late in the season, you will be reading a lot of things as to what is happening. So just take us as to what can the public expect.
Okay, so based on my mathematics, I think even we win, probably will end up with the second position. At least after this game, Legend has to lose one more game for us to make to the top. And again, I think public definitely can expect a better game. Legend versus KRCC, batting, bowling, and everything. I think two top-notch team that table defines 1 and 2 position team are playing each other, and I think it's going to be very exciting. And I think, Viju, you might not know that Legend and KRCC has played the last final also in FCC. And we had a really good show there too.
Legends and KRCC played
the
at the
Spring Cup final we played, and there also we have.
Oh, the Spring Cup. You're not talking about the Michigan Cup recently, right?
No, not
Legends were in the finals for that one. I saw that game. Okay, you're talking about the cup before that. Who won that game, by the way?
Legends won. However, the teams were different, but the into of the team, core of the team was the same.
Okay. You have seen Harish in action. You have seen Dinesh Pandeti in action, and you have seen Tamim Oni in action. This is without any consideration as to who is your teammate. If you had to pick one out of those three to save your life, which one? Who would you pick out of those three guys? I mean, I think all three are fabulous players. No, I mean, I'm saying forget that. Forget who's playing for whom. If you somebody had to play for your life, which one who would you pick?
For DCL, definitely Tommy Mooney I'll go with. I think I'm seeing again Tommy Mooney from playing from different format, because I do play for the hard ball too. He has great impact over the game. His bowling, he's not just come with the pace. Okay, he comes with those cutters, those slower. Means he's top notch. And batting wise also, I think overall, again, I'm not just saying because Oni is with me. Oni is with us because he is a great player. I think I'll go with Oni. And definitely, I'm not taking any credit from Harish too. And he is
no. I mean, I just gave you only one option. Out of the three, if you had to pick one. All right. Now, I'll go to KK for a brief. KK, you played for FCC the previous season. This season, you're playing with Legends. Give us the inside scoop. What's the big difference between FCC and Legends? And tell it like how Mansab said it. And that's why we used to like you on the other show, was that you were very honest in your opinions.
Yeah, sure.
The difference is Jay Balaya, but go ahead.
That's there too, but let me give you a small story, right? In 2015, when I joined FCC along with a few more folks like Tejas, Teju, Nishant, Akash, I think 6 or 7 folks were debuting in the same game. And for the first time ever, FCC made it to the playoffs. So come the next season, the responsibility on the players or the inside or outside pressures on the players keep building up. And we played 2016, and then 17 I played partially, and then 2018 I played almost 10 out of 12 games. So you got a point where, from the runs perspective, for 2018 I was the top run getter that year. I made a few runs, but however, what was the struggle always was, what if 2 batsmen get out? What happens next? That was always running on the back of my mind when I used to bat in the center for FCC, right? Because you're probably considered as the core players of the team there. And with the power, you also get that responsibility. And with that responsibility, I was actually stopping myself in a few situations. That's the difference I see it now. That's not the reason why I came out of FCC. But the difference that I see with the Legends unit is, I go back, irrespective of if I score 0, if I score 40, if I score a 20, I know for a fact that there are 10 other good batsmen who can back it.
Yeah.
There was a little baggage we had to carry in the previous unit, not necessarily because of the talent, but because, the team was there for about 4 or 5 years, and then I think you understand what I'm saying.
No, I don't.
You do, but
no, I don't. So, enlighten us.
so KK, going back, what's the difference between FCC and Legends?
So that's it. I have more freedom here to play.
Okay.
And because I'm not involved in anything else, just come to the ground, say what the captain does, do what the captain says. If he asks me to go to the boundary, I'll be at the boundary. If he asks me to stay outside because we have 12 players, I'll sit out. When I go to bat, they say just play your game. That's it. I'm not involved with anything else, be it the decision making with the for a particular game or the decision that comes up after the toss. Unless being asked, there is no interference. And as you know, Satish is a great man manager. He takes care of everything. There are discussions which he does internally. So
I agree with that. He's a great man manager. There's no doubt about it. And that's why Legends are where they are right now. So let me now turn my attention to one of your players. Let's put the spotlight on him. All right. And the guy I want to put the spotlight is not Harish Yelamichalli. Many people might think that I'm going to put the spotlight on him. No, my spotlight is on a guy named Guru Naga. All right. He is not, this year, he has been a transcendental player. All right. He was not this great a player 2 years back or even 3 years back when he started off with Dynamites. All right. His batting was almost non-existent. He was a good bowler at that time. He still is a good bowler. But now his batting has just gone to a different planet. And I saw that semi-final game you guys played against Blasters. He single-handedly took it away in the overtime, right? In the when it went into the super over. And great piece of captaincy there, sending him to open the batting in that super over. I mean, how many people would have thought of it? I do not know. But clearly it was the game changer moment kind of a thing. Tell me, what is it that has transformed him to this kind of a listing? Because there might be other players who probably can pick up some pointers as to how did he improve so much.
Mm-hmm. I would say about 2 points, that I have closely observed. The first one is the headspace, because in 2018, when he moved to Michigan, when he joined Team Dynamites, when he was playing, he was freshly out of college, still looking out for work. And, there are certain struggles one has to go through. It's part of everyone's life. But now he's in a position where it's more stable and he need not worry about a lot of other things. Rather, just come to the game, enjoy, leave it. Okay, that is 1 point, which is a major factor, beat anyone, right? You come to the ground, you want to have your headspace right. That's when you can actually give your 100%. That is the first item which I have observed. I've not discussed it with him too. He's very close to me, but I've not discussed it with him. But there you are, you're asking a question. And I thought it's a good platform to actually convey it, because there are a lot of players who play in our league, right? Because we all come from various parts of the world. We are here and we love cricket. We start playing it, but there are a few who do not give 100% due to various reasons. But that's okay. If you're not scoring in one tournament, there is a guy, you see Guru Naga, he's making the waves this year.
Yeah.
And the second point,
last week I said that he was number 6 in the MVP race, which I was shocked when I saw it, you see. And so is everybody else on this panel.
And there is another point, which is his hard work and his passion towards the game. He goes to those cushy nets almost 4 or 5 days a week and practices batting. Okay, he's a bowler. He's a bowler to start with, but he practices batting. He puts that additional effort in the game. And during a July long weekend, myself, Guru, and a few other Legends players, we were in Indianapolis. And I see Guru, he has his mobile, and he selects a left-arm bowler, and he bowls in areas and takes the ball away, playing a game on his mobile for half the time. And I asked him, why do you do that? I love it. I love cricket. I just want to do it. So he has that passion. That is where I was saying passion and the hard work, those additional yards that you have to put in, right? We all, most of us are working professionals. We work for those 8 hours. We want to rest back, but here is a guy who wants to go practice day in and day out. So that's the other point.
I'd like to meet that guy. It's nice to hear another person that plays cricket even on a video game. That's just how I am too. Even if I'm playing on a phone or a computer, it's cricket that I play, nothing else. So
is he married, Guru?
Not yet.
Oh, that's why. After
we'll see what happens when he gets hit.
He might become bad.
Yes. All right. I had a question for Satish. Sorry, I was out a little bit. I had to come get something done. Satish, I had a question for you. So, your team looks, really gelling well with the middle order, especially Maulik and Jasneet kind of carrying the weight on their shoulders for the batting. But however, I think the bowling, how are you going to address some of the bowling issues which you guys have been struggling with getting teams out? Batting, I mean, I've played with you guys. I feel your batting is stronger. Bowling has been a little on the slow, on the slightly lesser side. Coming into the playoffs, playing big teams, what are your plans in those areas?
No, I think I'm equally confident about my bowling as well. Parthiv, to be asked, if you ask me, in a couple of the games, I think 1 or 2 our key bowlers were missing. If you have checked the scorecard properly, but again, I think I'm very confident having Sahej, Jassi, now Oni, Ronnie, and myself, and we have quite a good option,
Yeah,
to start.
definitely. I think Oni definitely adds to that. So I forgot that you have Oni services now. So that's going to be great.
I
And
mean, it was a mighty good attack even before Oni joined, but now that he's joined as well, I think it's looking quite watertight. Sorry, Parthiv, go ahead.
no, I was going to ask for this game, which is touted as the group pool B header. Like, are we going to see the best of both teams? Is everyone available? Everybody going to be there in the showcase game of the week?
Yeah, we are trying our best to put the best team for this game. So most probably you will see almost everybody. That's what I'm hoping.
How about KKU? Legends all has everyone in their
As I said
armory?
for Parthiv, except for Murli, the rest of the team is available. So we have 17 players who gave availability. So it's up to Satish
Nice.
and the vice captain who makes the final decision, right? But irrespective of who is playing on the field, I want to say one thing. Every game that Legends play is like a picnic because you have 16, 17, 18 players in the dugout. You yourself might have seen
Nice.
that. We played few
Yes,
games.
yes.
So,
Yes. I was commenting to my players. Looks like the pura gaon aa gaya hai. That's great. That's great.
That kind of support does wonders to the game, irrespective of your winning or losing, right? That feeling of togetherness goes a long way in a team.
Right. And I think that's always been a facet of the Legends outfit, right? It's no matter what tournament you play, it's never just that 11 or the 12. There's always somebody that shows up to support the game. And the last time I saw KRCC, I know, and this was during, I believe, the spring tournament when we played, but you guys seem to have a pretty solid stuff in there as well. So I'm not quite sure why you guys, I know Yogesh mentioned injuries, but other than that, is there really any reason why that number has come down so much?
What number are we? Sorry, I did not get that.
Like I thought you guys had a pretty solid squad as well, and I'm a bit shocked when you guys talk about availability issues.
Yeah, I think we are not having the pool of like 25 people because we again, as I mentioned a couple of times to you,
Right.
Avi, personally, that we always play like a family.
Right.
So we are a group of people that we are backing each other from long time. And we have improved our performance from there where we did not had experience in DCL like 6-7 years ago. From there, every player has matured enough to play and being a talk about in DCL at this point. So we are still backing up on all our core players with addition to some of the really great players. And I think again, I think as of now, see, this is how it happens, because there are so many other tournaments that plays. Every time we have some or other issues with the availability, and game wise also we have to see, because all other people are also interested on some or other tournament too, right? Because of playing off. But most of our player, if you see, right, they have played enough games. It's not just, we do not have any our key player who is just playing 3 or 4 games. All our important players are playing most of our games.
There's one star player who I've been waiting if he's going to show up for KRCC. That is Nikhil Kanchan. Is he going to show up?
Are you serious? You have Nikhil Kanchan in your ranks?
He's on their squad.
But I no, to be honest, knowing him, I'd be very, very, very surprised, because his ambitions are far higher than what a lot of us' ambitions are. And I believe, can he play this game? Oh, absolutely, no doubt. I am a huge fan of Nikhil's, and I am convinced, make him play a plastic ball game and he'll still play well. But but I think just for where his path lies, I'd be very, very, very surprised if he allows himself to play any other format. Satish, I'm sorry, the question I know was addressed to you, but I just jumped in. But please, no, go ahead.
Yeah, we were again hoping for Nikhil Kanchan to play, but some of the more important tournament has popped up in US, and he has more potential and career beyond DCL.
Right.
So because of that, he did not play any of this game, and again next 2 games left, so most likely he won't be playing any other game.
Right.
But yeah, he was in our squad, and we were looking forward to play with him this season.
Wow.
Right. Because
That
I know
would have
I know he played one game, I believe, for Karnataka Eagles in the Ajay Reddy tournament that used to happen. And I remember after a horrendous 10 minutes out in the middle, his misery finally came to an end. And he comes out ripping his gloves off. And as he walked past me, he said, Avinash, no chance ever, man. I'm not playing any of this nonsense ever again. And to anybody that saw him that evening and said, Arey bhai, itna kya bada player hai? Go and watch a Mishka game or a US Open game.
Definitely.
It's the guy is unbelievable. And if anything, I think he is best. Not that I don't want him to show up for you, Satish, but it's I would say he is best served focusing on the cricket ball games. And I'm just saying it openly here to the entire community. If you guys have the time to spare, go and watch a Mishka game that he's playing, because that guy is something.
I do agree with you.
I'm personally proud to play in the same league as him.
Definitely, I do agree with you, Abhi. It's a treat to watch whenever Nikhil Kanchan is batting with a hard ball. So I'm as cricket lover. I have seen him batting. I went there for a couple of the games. Important games around the Michigan and all. And he's treat to watch when he's batting.
Absolutely.
all right. I think we should probably move into the predictions for this week.
Yes, I believe so. Yep, it's been a fun discussion. It's always nice to have people like Satish, very astute analysis, always whenever he's here, and KK, who absolutely minces no words and just speaks his mind. So it's and speaks everything frankly. So this is a great pair to have. Personally, I was very, very happy when I saw that you guys are both.
Agi, I had one final question for both of them, and that was.
Okay.
Tell us something about your team that no one else in DCL knows. It would be very interesting to say. If you can think of something which none of us knows. I mean, there are a lot of things which you said which was news to us, and we learned quite a bit through the show. But tell us one thing which nobody else knows. I think KK will probably give a solid answer. Let KK go first, and then Satish will give him a little more time to think.
So Satish, so for courtesy's sake, we'll have you answer this to KK. This question was surely for you.
Oh my God. Give me a minute.
I'm ready with my answer though.
Okay, then we'll flip it. We'll give Satish the first chance. Please tell us something which nobody else in DCL knows.
So, in our KRCC team, the youngest player is Yogi Bhai.
Oh, really?
That I think nobody knows. The energy that Yogi Bhai carries on and off ground, I doubt anybody can match to it.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
So
let me ask you: is Yogi Bhai going to need a runner against legends? Because the last time I saw this Yogi Bhai was asking for a runner from my good friend Parthiv Mehta, and Parthiv Mehta is doing paltis that I have asked this question. That man, he couldn't think of this question, and I have asked the question, and Parthiv Mehta can't believe I asked this question. So now, before this runner is asked, let me ask you, legends, I hope there might be a runner question coming up. Yogi Bhai will pull a muscle and Yogi Bhai will not be able to run. And so Satish Belamakunda should be ready to give an answer as to what is this. So let me ask you this. This young Yogi Bhai, will he need a runner? Then we have to find the oldest player to run for Yogi Bhai.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
So, Vijay, I want to say here, you brought up the point by a runner. So Murali was very much injured. He was playing a game against Spartans. He was not able to even walk. He just was playing 20, 30 dots in a row. And then I asked Satish, why don't we ask for a bye runner? Satish told me point blank, you don't want to play at the mercy of your opposition. Ask him to come out. Let's bat with 9 players.
That sounds like Satish. Yeah.
So, you know the answer.
Okay.
But he is such a nice guy that he might even permit a runner if Yogi Bhai asks.
I don't know. I mean, that's why I asked the question, because Satish might permit a runner. We Glads have already permitted a runner for, we are even providing a golf cart even before the game has even started for an injury which is pre-existing, okay? So we have no issues. But what I'm saying is, yeah, but I think if it is playoffs, I think I'm not sure if Kishan would be so generous, but just to give that. But we want Syed Bhai to play that game. So, but coming back to this point, this is a critical game for both of you. It's going for #1 spot. But since our friend Satish Gaba said that Yogi was the youngest player, I couldn't control myself from that wisecrack of the runner, you see.
Well,
because I saw what happened again.
Well, guys, this was fun. Top shooters for the last week. Vijay Mata, of course, undoubtedly 62 of 47 with those 5 humongous sixes. And of course, Prabhu matching him almost stroke for stroke with his own 61. On the bowling side of things, nobody really. I'm a bit surprised we didn't have... who's the guy that picked up 5 wickets for just 4?
No, I don't think anybody picked 5 wickets. I think it's Sunil Somawarapu was the closest. He bowled 5 overs, but he picked 4 wickets.
What about Ashok Bhavanam? Oh, he got 4.
He also 4 wickets, yeah.
He also took
5
4
wickets, but I didn't check the hat trick, which Parthiv mentioned, so that might be my mistake.
Okay, interesting. What we do know, and we've already called them out during the analysis. So no offense there to the bowlers. Yes, you're obviously the poorer cousins in this game that celebrates batsmen, but don't worry, your contributions have been recognized. Predictions, of course, sponsored very generously by Green Sapling Eco-Friendly Dinnerware. We have the competition running quite close. Parthiv at 95 leading, but Viju and Avinash snapping at his heels, just 5 points behind.
Avi, there is one guy going in reverse gear, all right? He's going in reverse gear. All of us are going in forward gear. There's one man going in reverse gear. Let's highlight that.
Some prediction to come up, Viju, and it's going negative. What I can do?
It will take something for this week, though, to upset the apple cart the way I see it. But moving on, gentlemen, Satya, of course, bringing up the rear. Safaris versus Southfield Super Kings. To start, this one was a bit of a tough one for me personally to decide. And I didn't really put it in until earlier at the early part of this show, but I think I am going with the Safaris on this one.
Yeah, I have to check mine as well as to what I put, but I think I have gone. Satya, do you remember what I've gone?
So we are all with the Safaris.
Might have gone to Safaris as well.
We are all in the Safaris camp for this week.
I'm going with Safaris too.
Okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
me too on the Safaris end.
So the way we do this to our guest panel, you guys obviously wouldn't be part of the contest, but you guys are most welcome to share your opinions. So we'll go in this order. The 4 of us, we know what order we are in, and let's follow that up with KK and finally round off with Satish. So KK, who do you think is the favorite on this one?
In the last game for Safaris versus FCC, Rahul was limping. He even needed a runner. So if Rahul is not playing this game, I think SSK definitely has an edge. So I'll go with this game.
That's interesting to know. It'll be interesting to see how many panelists flip their choice behind the screens. Satish?
I will back SSK for this game.
Will back SSK? Okay. I very nearly typed in SSK and then I flipped it back to Safaris, but we'll see. Dynamites versus Dark Horses. I think this is a bit of a no-brainer. I think Dynamites probably is the favorite on this one. Parthiv?
Yeah, it was
Oops, looks like Parthiv dropped off due to some connectivity issues, but yes, he did pick Dynamites. There, he's back. Parthiv, are you there? On mute.
Yes, I have spotty internet for some reason. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yep.
Hello.
Yep. We can hear you, Parthiv, but I think you've dropped
spotty
out.
internet.
No worries, though. I think Satya also in the Dynamites camp. Viju, I believe you are in the Dynamites side as well.
Yeah, I'm in Dynamites.
All right, KK.
Dynamites.
Right, and Satish.
Dynamite for me too.
Perfect. Next up, I believe another no-brainer, Indus Thunders versus Thunderbolts. I'd be very, very surprised if this goes in any other direction other than an Indus Thunders victory.
Yeah. So at least there is going to be some thunder.
Right.
Whether it's
Exactly.
Thunderbolts or Indus Thunder, there's going to be thunder.
Right. I believe KK and Satish agree as well on that one.
Yep.
I'll go in this. I remember Sandeep Gopu mentioning on this show that his first team's name was Thunderbolts, and that's the reason he named both his Indus Bolts and Indus Thunders.
Right. Right.
We have to see how
That's correct. Yeah.
And we truly appreciate that little tidbit, which shows that you actually follow our show. So thank you, KK. We really appreciate that. UCA versus Troy Hawks. Despite their initial promise, I think from UCA, I think Troy Hawks have this sewn up. It should be Troy Hawks winning against the UCA.
Yep. For me as well. I think this should be straightforward.
Yep.
Troy Hawks for me too.
Yeah, me too, Troy Hawks.
Right.
Troy Hawks.
Yep.
Yeah, Troy Hawks for me.
All right. So Troy Hawks all the way. And Blasters versus Brownstown. Despite their promise from last week, I still think the Blasters have enough in them to beat the Brownstown. Brownstown pretty much playing only for pride at this point of time.
Yeah, I don't expect Blasters to make the same mistake as we did. Hopefully they learn from us. Yes, Blasters for me.
Right.
Blasters for me too.
So let me ask you a question. If Brownstown beats Blasters, is Hari Parankusam going to be jumping in the Detroit River?
Oh, God.
Huh? I mean, I'm just curious because I don't know what else to do. But yeah, I'm going with Blasters. But yeah, if Blasters lose to Brownstown, even if Hari Parankusam doesn't want to jump into the Detroit River, maybe the rest of the guys should give him a baptism and a dunking in the Detroit River.
Oh, dear God.
I'll go with Blasters.
All right. And Satish?
Yeah, Blaster.
All right. Spartans versus FCC Agni. Despite my appreciation for Ramesh Satyavaram, I don't think him or his side have really fired this year, despite their names. So Spartans on this one for me.
Yeah, I think same argument.
Yeah.
Spartans for me too.
Yeah, Avi, I haven't seen any Agni, no fire, no nothing. I mean, I'm only seeing charcoal, and the charcoal is not even burning, so I'm going with Spartans.
I'll go with Spartans too.
Okay.
Yeah, Agni is a better team, but somehow they are not able to perform this season. I'll also go with the Spartans.
Okay. Kings 11 versus Strikers. This one, I have a feeling it might turn out to be a bit interesting. No offense, Partha, but we are still casting our lot in with you, boy. So, bhai, izzat rakhna.
I'm very, very obligated, and I feel very, very humbled that all four of you guys have thought about us.
Satya, yes, you can move me to the Strikers camp. Yeah.
Parthiv Strikers, and I go with Strikers too.
Well, I don't know. Maybe Partha will make Nikhil Kanchan come alive. Not Nikhil Kanchan, Nikhil Kumar come alive. Because Partha is the guy who made this Nikhil Kumar into a super mega star, And after the Strikers game, the mega star hasn't performed like a mega star. In fact, he's not even performing like a star. So, in fact, I feel, man, if I was playing there, I think I would have performed better than Nikhil Kumar. So, that is not saying much, but let's hope Nikhil Kumar has a big game. I don't know. I mean, but maybe just to spite Parthiv, he might have a big game. But yeah, I'll stay with Strikers.
I think if Parthiv is behind the wickets, Nikhil Kumar has big game.
Yeah, that was the difference in the first game. I wasn't keeping.
Okay.
There you go. So, yeah. You don't even have to chat. Just keep playing this particular 10-second segment to him on the phone.
I want to go against Strikers. I want to pick Kings 11.
Okay.
This is round 2. Round 1, Kings 11 won the battle. And
Yes.
this is more important to Kings than Spartans, than Strikers, I believe.
All right. Interesting
Important to us
argument.
too.
Yeah, even I will back Kings 11 for this game. Sorry,
All
Parthiv.
right.
Wow.
That's
The
okay.
two guests went with Kings 11.
Nice. Micah versus Pokeries, even other than the fact that my allegiance lies with the Pokeries, I think this one, Pokeries should cross the line quite easily.
Yeah. Yes. Again, hoping that Micah wins the toss and elects to bat.
Yeah. Micah wins the toss, so I go with Pokies.
Yeah, well, Pokeries will win this away, running away. So Pokeries.
All right.
Poker is
Okay.
for me.
All right. Gabaji Pokeries as well?
Yeah, Progress. Yep.
All right. Canton 11 versus AR Phantoms. Again, so as exciting as I think the week before was and as difficult as it was to predict, I think this one has been a week of, looks to be a weekend of no-brainers. Canton 11 for me.
Yes, Canton 11 as well.
11 as well.
Yeah, well, Canton 11. What else? The Phantom is not going to surprise us.
There are only two teams that haven't won a single game this year. One of them is Dark Horses, the other one is AR Phantoms.
But the Dark Horses at least got some extra points, my friend. The Canton 11 Phantom has just disappeared. He has not even got a single extra point.
Yeah, true, Viju, but Dark Horses has been playing the league for a long, long time. Whereas AR Phantoms is a bunch of folks from the same community that are coming together and playing. So just spare them a bit. That's okay.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, but one of the nicest teams, I would say.
But
Fair play
I
award
will
goes to them.
no offense to them, KK. I mean, when they played against us, they played quite well. I mean, whatever you say, yeah. All I was saying is that they haven't got a single bonus point. That's all I was saying. Not about their play. I thought that there is some potential there. Definitely, there is some potential.
I'll tell you a small inside story again, if the time permits.
Yep, sure.
So last year, when there were no tournaments, all these folks live in the same community. I had a chance to play with them, for about 2 to 3 months. So irrespective of winning or losing, they love that kind of, enjoying the game, just coming to the ground, meeting people. So that's where the team, they started with this idea of forming a team next year.
Okay.
But probably, give it a year or two, maybe they'll recruit a few more younger players, and then maybe they'll start scoring some points, maybe winning games too.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Canton 11. Of course.
All right. Satish, you're on mute.
Yeah, Canton 11.
All right. GLCC versus Punjab Warriors. I think another straightforward choice here. I'm going to cast my lot in with GLCC. Yes, they've had a few ups and downs, but I think they still have the upper hand on this one.
Yeah, I think this is a game that they would love to come back in form. So yes, GLCC for me.
Okay.
GLCC for me.
Yeah, I'm not so sure whether this is GLCC, but I'm tipping the favor in GLCC's favor.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Having all those festival and other things, they don't have availability.
Oh, Punjab 11 doesn't have availability?
No.
Oh, then definitely GLCC.
Oh dear God, yeah. KK?
I'll go with GLCC.
All right, and Gaba?
GLCC.
Perfect. Sterling Strikers versus Rising Stars. Again, I'd be very, very, very surprised if Rising Stars actually pull this one off. Sterling Strikers for me all the way.
Yep. Strikers.
Go Sterling Strikers.
Yeah, Sterling Strikers for me too. Especially after all the great things which Mansab said, you see.
Right.
So I have a question. Is Sterling Strikers playing F40?
Sterling
They have a team,
Strikers,
yes.
some of their team players play F40.
Because the playoffs are starting this weekend, and I've umpired one of the games where Sterling Strikers played Canton 11. So Sterling strikers were bowling second, and after 8 overs, they had to field with 8 players for the entire
Okay.
match.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. I'll go with
Yeah, but even the 8 players, I think will be
Yeah.
enough for Rising.
Even with that, I think it should be enough to take care of Rising Stars. No offense meant. Actually, a very good friend of mine plays in Rising Stars, but unfortunately, it's just been a dismal year for them.
Yes, Sterling strikers for me too.
All right.
Sterling striker for me too.
Perfect. And that finally brings us to what has probably been one of the two very difficult games to pick a winner on this one. Legends and KRCC, both teams that I have a lot of respect for, both teams that I have been a part of in some of the other tournaments. And with this latest edition of this of the trump card called Tamimoni, I think I will cast my lot in with KRCC. I know I'd originally picked Legends, but I'm increasingly getting a feeling that KRCC probably have the upper hand on this one. Sorry, KK.
No,
Yes, I think I have picked KRCC also, but not for Tamimoni. I think I picked KRCC because of Jasneet. I think he is definitely the game changer with either the bat or the ball.
Right.
KRCC is a very good team with adding Tamimoni, but they have a good guys, Maulik and Roni Bhai, Jasneet, Satish Gaba. But I go with Legend just because they have that best lefty. So that's going to change the game.
Who's the best lefty?
Harish.
Harish. But I have a feeling Harish might get stolen by RKCC this weekend. So I don't know.
Yes. There's an F40 playoff, right?
Right.
But I think our friend Vamsi KK already confirmed that they have the 17 players available, and which includes Harish. So
I am not entirely convinced of his argument, but we'll see. I hope for Legends' sake and for my friend Satish's sake that that Harish ends up playing here. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Avi, I'm so happy this mustache of mine is off. I am very thankful to my good friend Vijay Khammam and the Kings 11. I can never forget or be unthankful to them that this is not an issue, because I was supporting Legends until this Tamim Modi edition, and now, you know, I'm not entirely sure. And so I am right now in the KRCC camp because I feel that they have enough pieces to win the whole thing.
I don't know if Oni watches the show or even has the time to watch our show with all the games he plays on all the days, but I'm hoping he hears this and lives up to his end of the hopes that we've placed on him.
Avi, do you have $150? Please send $150 check, and I'm sure he'll watch the show.
Lovely. Wow, that is great.
Got it?
All right.
Guys, real quick, next week is our long weekend. I want to vote for these games too. So.
Oh, really?
After that. So these games might happen anytime. So I just want to finish this.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
So, Avi, can you just say Raptors, Thunderbolts?
I believe Raptors.
Raptors for me as well.
Okay.
Okay.
These are simple.
Patriots.
The Patriots as well. Again, Patriots for me too.
Okay.
Yep, same thing.
So UCA, FCC again.
Yeah,
thankfully
FCC won this
I
game.
think it's happening now, but yeah.
Yeah, the game is done, Satya. FCC won the game by 48 runs.
Okay, lovely.
All right, we'll give this to everyone.
That's okay. So 1 point per all. Okay. So this last game. So
Gladiators.
Yes, glad.
Now, remember what I told you. You guys should pay attention to what I told. I have so far not been wrong in any of those things which I have said about availability and things like that. But I already told you we have some issues with qualification. So we're going to use this mainly as a qualification game then. So if you want to take a chance, this is the week to take a chance.
Yeah. Gladiators.
Okay.
When is this game? When is this game scheduled?
Wednesday, September 1st.
Next. Oh, that reminds me. KK, what are you doing next Wednesday?
I'll go with Glad, Satya.
I'm in town.
You're in town. Would you be able to fill in for me?
On this
as
show?
the color analyst on this show? Of course, that means that you have to do 2 shows. but I'm asking if you have the freedom to do that. I would like you to fill in for me.
Yeah, I mean, I might not be possible for the entire 3-hour duration, but at least, I'll try to make 2.
Okay, these 2 guys hopefully can manage, right?
Yeah.
And Mr. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I recently moved in to a different house, Viju, this week.
Okay.
So a lot of other things I have to take care of. So.
KK, your challenge is, if you can only spare 90 minutes, then your challenge is to keep us to the 90 minutes. I know that's my job as moderator, but
I can do that.
Yeah. Great. Well, I guess that brings us to the end of the show. We really look forward to this weekend, particularly the Safaris versus SSK game and the Legends versus the KRCC game. I'm sure both are games that are going to be watched quite avidly by not just the analysts here on the show, but also the larger DCL family as a whole. But like I would like to reiterate, it was a real pleasure having both of you join us tonight. You're both analysts. We love you're both players and analysts. We love hearing and watching play. So, and you guys belong to teams that we like following as well. So it was lovely having you. Thank you so much. Very good luck to both of you and your teams for this weekend. Please give us an absolute cracker of a show. But other than that, to you, all of you, as well as to the community that is watching, stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe, and continue supporting and watching our show week after week. We love presenting this to you, and we love having your support. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank
good
you,
luck,
Gaba.
Vansi, Satish.
Good luck, guys. Thank you, Gaba, and thank you, KK, for coming on the show. And thank you, Mansab.